But God Almighty, I done opened my mind. These holy waters left a chill down my spine. Come on and sit beside me, little waters collide. Bathing me in the iris of your widening eyes. What can you share to keep my hands cuffed? Something so bright and blessed that I'm all but crushed.
you see? I love you righteously. Why you wanna diss me after the way you've been kissing me? After those pretty things you said and the love we made today. When you run your hand all up and run it back down my leg, get excited and bite my neck, get me all worked up like that. Think this thrill, let it down for you every time. Respect me, I'll give you what's mine. You're entirely way too fine. Arms around my waist, get a taste of how good this can be. May the man you are tenderly stand up for me. Flare up with me, don't keep hurting me, don't cause me pain. Be my lover, don't play no game. Just play me John Coltrane. You don't have to prove your man to me constantly. I know you're the man, can't you see? I love you righteously. Why you wanna diss me after the way you've been kissing me? After those pretty things you said.
You an idiot sandwich! Yes, chef! You put Will in the soup? I would never do that. Not enough flavor.
It's like a very fresh, light, tasty chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, classic fucking British food tastes like nothing. Oh, it's gonna be milky pussy pasta. It's not gonna have that swell that you're looking for, chef. Because I'm tired of buying green, chef.
What's that mean? What does that mean? I'm tired of buying cream.
Figured that I could make my own cream.
So you decided to sabotage my dish!
I had to stop injecting bleach because my boobs got too big. You know how you get a recipe and you're like, where's the fucking recipe? I was a little girl. Like, no, where's the recipe? This is Sunday night dinner and a movie. This is the one stream a week that I ask you, in particular, to not be an asshole. Not today. Not on the Lord's Day. The Lord being me. Okay? I am the Lord. This is the Lord's day. Alrighty. Okay. Oh my god, that just almost spilled everywhere. Okay, my camera's not working again for my setup in the kitchen. So not sure why. I bought another new cord, so I don't think it's that. So I'm not sure what's happening. I thought I'd have it figured out by the time I went live. But it's broken still. Sick. So I'm gonna have Will take a look at it and see if he can figure it out, but I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't know. Maybe this household will go hungry tonight. No food. My husband's taking me to the grocery store to make this for dinner. Oh, well, I'm starving too, and I would really actually love to eat some tater tot casserole, but we'll see. Maybe the house is haunted. It could be. It's possible that I brought some. Okay. I did that a million times. Dragon Army, I knew you were gonna give 5 subs even when I wasn't even here. Thank you. Okay, just to be clear, Will did the exact same thing that I did like 20 times, and for some reason it worked when he did it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's in a towel. Tech is like that. I swear to God, it was... I swear to God, I tried to do it so many times, and then he did it one time, and it worked. Deanie, holy shit, thank you for the bits. Good day, here's some gay bits. Oh, my favorite kind. My favorite kind of bits. Rain, thank you for the 11 months. Jelmer, thank you for the 16 months. Rexona, thank you for the 5 months. Did we get a new puppy? Huh? Did we? Did we get a new puppy? I don't know. Did you see something that... Oh, no. His friend, our friend who he was watching football with all day, is currently fostering 8 pit bull puppies because someone in the neighborhood, I think they're homeless. I think they had a pit bull, and the pit bull had puppies, and they needed help. So our friend said that he would foster them right now. We can't have a puppy. No, they're really cute. The puppies are so cute. They're not here, but they're very cute. However, I don't think that we are in the market for another dog, especially a puppy right now. Where Farley? Farley, you've been summoned. Doug, thank you for the 3 months. Skull Ho, thank you for the primes up. Thank you for the 17 months. Okay, I want to get going soon. Yeah, I know. Farley could not have a sibling. Farley! Although maybe that would make him love me even more because he'd be jealous. Okay, we're gonna get started soon. Get over to the kitchen so we can get to a making tater tot casserole, a Midwest classic. Nothing like tater tots and cheese and meat and cream of mushroom soup. It really is a classic. Indeed. Do you have any plans to play Resident Evil 4 remake soon? Didn't I make that? I did that one. I don't know. I can never remember which Resident Evils I've done. I can't remember. Quick clip react? Sure.
One tier below gaming with Caroline. Because Caroline, like Emily is ass at games, but Caroline
Okay, girl. This is now like the 4th time. What do I have to do to prove myself?
doesn't know anything about games. And it's so fun. It's so fucking funny. I love watching clips of Caroline
Okay, whoa, but I do finish games. I am a finisher. Or do finish.
gaming. Yeah, because at least Emily used to play a lot of Mario games, so like she's aware. But Caroline's like, I don't know how to hold the.
Listen,
They told her
listen,
the
young
clip of her
lady.
looking for 4 watt turned down. She's like, where is 4 watt?
Listen, young lady, it's all giggles.
Yeah, she hasn't proved a lot, but it's so cute. It's so fucking cute. So what did
All right, you know what? It's all fun and games until I kick some ass. All right, till I kick some ass. You still haven't played Resident Evil 4 Ada Wong DLC, and the people who love slightly evil women are writing. Oh, right. I forgot I hadn't done that, and people were like, "Why haven't you done that?" Cozy Gaming thing with 3 months. So it's always fun and games. No, it's never fun and games. Did you finish Slay the Princess? I completely forgot about that game. I'm going to be so for real. I forgot that I had started playing that. Is there even a way to finish that game? Okay, I know I just bragged about finishing games, and then I'm like, wait, I forgot that I was playing that game.
Has to offer. This game is an actual hero shooter, has many modes, and there's nothing to be bored of.
Okay,
You
yeah,
can
these are the
ordinary
games that
kill
Fan
girls.
likes.
Thank you, by the way, and make sure to check out
All
the
right.
game for free today on Steam Epic Store through our link in the description.
I
or
can't believe this is a sponsor. That's
by
crazy.
writing the command. Thank
That's
you.
so crazy.
Oh, it worked, right? Oh my god, perfect timing.
Wait.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
she is needy.
Oh. Oh my.
She's freaky.
It's richer than any grape.
She is freaky.
Like, yeah, it's richer because my hands are clammy.
That is like 5.
You know what? Okay, if this kind of stuff is allowed, I should get to show butts in movies. What game is this so I can stay away? I don't even have any idea. I have no idea. Okay, all right. Have you seen? Okay, so yes, I finally saw one battle after another. I did. I really want to get into cooking, but also I don't think it's a film that I can just like be doing something as I try to give my thoughts on it. So yesterday I didn't stream because 1, I was having an allergic reaction. 2, because I was like, oh, I need to go see one battle. So I went and saw it finally. Okay, here's what I will say. There is much to appreciate. Certainly the virtuoso of one of the great auteurs that we have, Paul Thomas Anderson. And I admired the boldness. No, I didn't. Okay. I admired the boldness, and especially when it feels like a lot of filmmakers, especially mainstream filmmakers, are not meeting the current moment. I really appreciated that Paul Thomas Anderson seemed to be motivated to doing that. Now, I will say, and I have other good things to say about the film. Okay, I have good things to say about the film. The soundtrack I thought was awesome. The car chase scene was pure cinema. The performances I will say though, with that, I think Teyana Taylor was way more magnetic than that role allowed for her. And I also think Regina Hall was once again criminally underused. Regina Hall is so good, and I just really felt sad that I mean, this is a whole issue that I have with the film overall, just his writing of the Black female characters, which okay, it's a whole conversation. I have seen takes on both sides, and I think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle on it. But anyway, Leo, I think, gave one of his best performances. I think Leo DiCaprio leaning into being a genuinely funny actor is a strength. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson recognized that. And I think he coaxed an amazing performance out of him by letting him just be like this, letting him be this just drug-addled, alcohol-addled, kind of, you know, burnt out loser who is... who had this big old past, and now he's a guy who like smokes weed and wears a robe. And I thought he was, I thought it was an incredible performance. I think probably my favorite part of the film, what I thought was the best, was when Leo and Benicio del Toro were on camera together. That entire arc with the two of them. And then also the way that demonstrated Benicio del Toro's, like, you know, the community that he's in, how they care for one another, and just how they've, you know, they might not be blowing things up and doing things that are just much more spectacle, but they are, but they care for each other and they are resisting as well. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting, actually more heartfelt exploration of what it means to resist. It's my favorite part. I just think that Benicio, like, just he was so good. His character of like the sensei, the sensei revolutionary. It was very funny, but also like just really, it was just great. It was great. I do feel I saw it with some friends at a promo premiere for free. I thought it was awful and was surprised people were liking it. I think the beginning really threw me off. And it was not until we got into that sequence with Benicio and Leo, that entire sequence, that I was like, okay, I think I'm back. Ultimately, I think the tone kind of confused me, because I saw people holding this film up as like this revolutionary masterpiece, and I don't think it was that. And I saw people holding this film up as like the great anti-fascist, like radical film of the decade, and I don't think it was that either. I actually think this was his most mainstream film. So I do admire that he was able to make it entertaining, to have, you know, just so much going on in it, to try and say something, or at least, you know, at the very least, not shy away from pointing to what he sees as the, you know, who he sees as the enemy in this country. But I think it just was, I think it was like ideologically way too loose-limbed. As I said, the beginning of the film, I really struggled with. I really, really struggled with it, just how he established it, the character of Perfidia Beverly Hills, who is played by a very magnetic Teyana Taylor, but I think it's more of a testament to also Teyana Taylor's just absolute skill. I've been a huge fan of hers. I was singing her praises in the film 1001. I think she's just so fucking dynamite. But I think that character was not written well enough and deeply enough to serve her talent. I think Sean Penn was like, hate Sean Penn the person. He was incredible. Like, he also was able to add just a lot of like just character. His character work was so good. His character was so good. I think I struggled at the beginning too because of how he portrays the revolutionaries in such a cartoonish way, but overall, like the film by the end. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the problem with how he portrayed the revolutionaries and also just kind of revolution in general is I don't think he was doing any moralizing. There was not like, this is the right way, this is the wrong way, because I don't think that he is somebody who can say that. And he's never been like the most political filmmaker. I think Paul Thomas Anderson came into the industry, he came into filmmaking at a time when it was kind of in the post-revolutionary era of filmmaking, where these truly radical revolutionary filmmakers of the 60s and 70s who then even themselves like got burnt out or their work changed. And so Paul Thomas Anderson, he is an amazing craftsman, and he certainly does a good job with like family drama elements when he, a recurring theme of Paul Thomas Anderson films is like, here's a specific era. Here's a specific era. Here's a family. Here's a character that we're looking at. And, even when there's all this like background noise happening, like he ultimately always focuses on that. And so what was I going to say? Yeah. Okay. So I think the scenes of the revolutionary activity were some of the weakest of the film, if not the weakest. And I think that's because Paul Thomas Anderson, his perspective is limited. It is his social and historical outlook and perspective is limited. And I think so one criticism of him has always been that he doesn't write female characters as well as he writes male characters. There are exceptions, but for the most part, a common complaint is that his female characters are just thinly sketched, not great. And then his lack of people of color in his films. So this time around, he opens up and you have this revolutionary group, this left-wing, designated terror group in the United States who are actively bombing and utilizing violence as a means of revolution. And he has at the head of it a black woman who's played by Teyana Taylor. And then there are other black women who flank her in this group. But I think I struggled with how there was so much meat there, of how the character of Perfidia Beverly Hills, especially knowing that Teyana Taylor has made comparisons to Assata Shakur, who just passed away. So I think also the understanding of Assata Shakur, who's just died, and we've been talking about her life and her legacy and her, everything she stood for. And then along comes this film. Teyana Taylor makes the comparisons herself. It makes me wonder, did Paul Thomas Anderson and her have these conversations? Because to me, Perfidia Beverly Hills is quite opposite of Assata Shakur, which is not to say that you can't do that. You can't have a really complex character like hers where she is ultimately in service of herself, her selfishness, her ego gets in the way of the actual fight of the revolution. And there is, you don't have to have this perfect revolutionary. There is no perfect revolutionary, but I just think that we totally missed an opportunity to really get into the meat and the bones of this character. And so ultimately she just came off pretty badly. And the fact that a lot of her like character explanation, kind of the humanizing of her, was done in voiceover work. It was like her voiceover and then the letter being read. And I was like, Paul, that ain't it. Come on, that's lazy. To me, that was lazy that he did that. And then like just he would introduce things like, okay, Perfidia comes from a long line of revolutionaries. What does that mean? What does that mean for her to have this lineage? And how does she compare and contrast? And how does her mother, who says about Leo, who says to Bob, Pat, like, you aren't right for my daughter. How does she look at her daughter and what her daughter is doing, and how her daughter, you know, her daughter is doing things that don't really feel in the spirit of collective revolution. So like there were little bits and pieces that were introduced, but then she pretty much disappears. And then the story ends up really it's about the interiority of these two white male characters. You have Lockjaw and then you have Pat. And I think it's because Paul Thomas Anderson is ultimately limited in his perspective and what he can do. And like, okay, good that we finally have some, you know, we've got some non-white people in the film. You know, they're not totally invisible, but they also felt more in service of other narrative arcs, of other characters' narratives, rather than really, especially in the context of a film dealing with like revolutionaries, not being the ones who are ultimately like the architects of the revolution, both individually and collectively. And I think that's been an issue with, like, historically black women have been at the forefront, but have been forced onto the sidelines. Black women who, you know, in this country, those who have the least amount of rights usually are the ones who are fighting the hardest because they have to. And so this has been a long standing issue of black women not getting the, you know, it's not just like not getting the credit, but still having to be invisible in their own, you know, still having to be invisible in their own fight, but also being expected to shoulder a lot of the burden, and how their male counterparts are always who are given deference towards and you know, are the faces of the revolution. And so I just felt like I appreciated that here we have a story with this revolution, you know, starts off with this revolutionary group and it's headed up by a black woman. But then ultimately I just feel we didn't hit the mark. And then this idea of like passing the torch from generation to generation. I also struggled with the daughter's character. I struggled with, what was her name? The actress, Willa. I struggled with Willa. I felt like for a movie that was 3 hours long, some really important emotional moments, some important like character development moments just felt really rushed or weren't there. No, it also is about passing the torch. It absolutely is. No, it's about a lot of things. I don't think this film is about one thing. I think like absolutely one thing that Paul Thomas Anderson was going for, especially at the end where I don't want to say exactly what happened, but I think it's pretty clear of like, hey, you know what? My generation couldn't do it, but it's up to the young people. Like that is, to me, was absolutely an element of what he was saying with this film. There was a huge father-daughter dynamic to it, and the daughter played. Look, I know I know I'm spinning out a lot right now because my thoughts are all spinning. But let me just say, I think you're being a little harsh on the movie and how much it tried to cover. It's still only 3 hours. I totally disagree. I disagree. If this is a film that is being considered not just the best film of the year, but best film of the decade, being called a masterpiece, I think it is deserving of being thoroughly looked at. And I'm sorry, but that's crazy to be like, it's still only 3 hours. That's a long time. That's a long time. 3 hours long? That's crazy. If you have a 3 hour film and you are still not executing it properly, then that's a big problem. Like, what do you mean? You shouldn't need, like, then make a series, then make a television show. If your argument is you only have 3 hours and the film tried to cover a lot and so it's not its fault, then I think no. Do it in a different medium then. I don't know. Like you said, it's not just about one thing, but what I'm trying to explain though is that sometimes this can be a problem when a filmmaker is just too loose-limbed, when they're like being pulled in different directions, when they seem like they're trying to say something, but they're not executing that. They're not like saying it. They're not saying it strongly enough. They're not like, the focus doesn't feel clear. Did you see FD's reaction? No, I didn't see FD's reaction. Okay, so I know I just talked straight for like 5 minutes long. Here's the thing. I wanted, especially because I saw really largely the reaction to this film is incredibly positive. I've seen very little criticism. I specifically wanted to see what Black women felt about this film because I will say that I thought that was one of the weakest aspects of the film. At a couple points, I questioned if Paul Thomas Anderson was actually commenting on racial dynamics, on hypersexualization, or if he was simply contributing to it. And I think that's something I'm still kind of mulling over. Not a Black woman, but Van Lathan just had a whole convo in the Ringer about it that tackles some of those issues. Okay, I'll need to take a look at that. And so, what was I saying? Yeah, yes. So just my instinct when I was watching this film, especially the beginning part that is really a setup for the main story of the film. Okay. All like the actions of the revolutionary group, it's a setup for then this like action thriller that involves the daughter, that involves Leo, that involves Lockjaw, right? It's like that's the crux of the plot. So I just initially I felt uncomfortable, and not in a way where it's like, oh, you're supposed to feel uncomfortable because the filmmaker is challenging you. I felt uncomfortable in as I said, is Paul Thomas Anderson actually skewering this satirically? Is he actually like making commentary on racial and gender dynamics, on Black women in revolutionary movements, or is he being weird? Is he contributing to this problem? And that's always a tricky thing for a filmmaker. And this is where you'll get like very different reads on, I think, this part of the film. So, okay, as I said, really wanted to like be a part of the hoorah crowd. I wanted to like walk out of this film and go, Paul Thomas Anderson's greatest film of all time, fucking masterpiece, like best picture of the year, no question. Like I wanted to like ride and die for this film, and I didn't. And you can't force that upon yourself when you see so many people just lavishing praise upon a film that it didn't hit. I thought it was a fine enough film. I thought there were elements of it that I greatly admired, and I think the car chase scene is one of just the individually best scenes of cinema that I've seen in a second. And yet overall, I don't think that film is the masterpiece that people are calling it. I need to see Angelica Jade Bastien's review. That is who I'm waiting for. Jordan Searles is pushing back on people's criticism of his writing of the black women characters in the film. I'll be interested to see her full review, but I am dying to see Angelica Jade Bastien's review. She's one of my favorite film critics. I just think she's brilliant, and I know she's seen it. She hasn't written her review yet, so would love to read that. FD signifier linked to this black female review. One fetish after another. PTA exploits black women and averts revolution. And here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. I will say this over and over again. Even if you think a film is perfect, if you're like, this is incredible, anybody who doesn't feel that way, we're rewatching a different movie. And I'm sure people who don't feel that way also feel like they watched a different movie from you. I still think it's important to engage with criticism. Don't just read things that are reinforcing how you feel about something, especially if there's an issue that people have pointed to with a film that it's not like your lived experience. I think it's really important to read from people who have a personal stake in it, who will, have a different perspective just because of having different experiences in life. And not everyone, no group is a monolith. So I'm not saying every single black woman is going to feel the exact same way about this movie, but I do think it's important. I think it's important to just overall read and engage with criticism of especially a film like this. Okay. Especially a film like this. But then on top of that, make sure that you are specifically reading and hearing from people who, who are perhaps going to have a unique perspective on something because of just their lived experiences. So even if you don't agree, maybe there's something that you go, okay, I actually didn't consider it I didn't consider it that way, but it's something to think about maybe when you rewatch the film, or you don't have to rewatch it, but just go, okay, I'm understanding why this bothered people, even if ultimately that wasn't my read on it. Ben Shapiro did a review. Fuck Ben Shapiro's review. The other thing too is like, I went into this film thinking, no, I didn't even think that, because I know that MAGA is so dramatic. I know these people are so fucking dramatic, but the response to it from MAGA, had me being like, oh my God, you guys are so pathetic. You're so pathetic. So pathetic. Because I do not think Paul Thomas Anderson was at all saying that political violence is the way. In fact, I don't think he was moralizing really at all about specific revolutionary tactics, because I don't think that he's the person to do that. And so as much as I'm like, it would have been really interesting to see more of like, I would have loved to see more of more division, more arguing over different tactics and philosophies and just the ins and outs of revolutionary movements. I don't think that's PTA. I don't think that's PTA. And ultimately that was the backdrop to the main story. I do think like it's fine to also not have solutions. And I think it's fine to, I think it's fine for a filmmaker like Paul Thomas Anderson to basically be like, okay, here's kind of broadly, broadly how I see where we are. And I don't have I'm not going to give you the answers and I'm not the person to, but I think it was clear that he was putting his trust in the younger generation, just like has been the case for every generation, where essentially it's like, to me, okay, because you cannot be a revolutionary without ultimately being driven by love. That's what to be a revolutionary is. It is to have such a great love for people, for this world, for the fight, that is what drives you. And that was also why I had an issue with the revolutionary aspects of this film. But I think the love came from the familial dynamics. I think that's what he was looking at. Where like, this is as important as like, whatever, everything else you're doing. Isn't that what that's what Che said? Yeah. Che Guevara talked about that. I think Toro was actually the person getting things done. Then he showed the people who play revolutionary and who play power games and things contrary to the claimed beliefs. He was the only effective or honest person in the movie. I also felt like he and his community was really demonstrated community and really demonstrated like resisting without this grand spectacle. And I think it's why it was like, I think the most well done part of the film. And Benicio's character was also just awesome. Like it was just a really fun character, but also like rad, He was great. Like his calmness, and then you juxtapose that with Leo's just insanity. He actually came in with the idea of this whole underground network when he came back from filming the Wes Anderson pick. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't read much on the film from like the actors. Usually I like to watch and then I'll read stuff afterwards to see like what they were going for, what were their inspirations, which is why when Teyana Taylor mentioned Asada Shakur, I went, And I'm not putting this on her. Because I think that she's so fucking good. And I think she managed to even give that role more life than was written on the page. But anyway, let me just read a little bit of this piece. Salty Dog, thank you for the 14 months. Rebel Mike, thank you for the 26 months. Mars Overdrive, thank you for the 13 months. Cadaver, thank you for the 27 months. Raziel Prem, thank you for the 19 months. Mad Ferocious, thank you for the 3 months. Why is your t-shirt so tight? Great. Amazing line that also Sean Penn in his character work, he was perfect in that role. There were just so many of those little moments that we got that spoke to who this guy is. I thought the comedy was amazing, but that's why it was kind of hard because I think the serious moments didn't hit in the way that I found the comedy to be. The comedy was a strength of the film. Like the comedy was really, really good. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson was really smart in his casting of Leo and really bringing out that comedic work. Him falling off the roof was the hardest I laughed during a movie all year. Him falling off the roof, and then the guy saying to Benicio afterwards when he just goes, "Yeah, your man fell off the roof," like so nonchalant, just like telling it like it is. Yeah, you fell off the roof. Kind of a strange viewing experience of not feeling tense enough when one wanted to, other than the shots on the winding road. Yes, and another issue I had with the with the second half of the film was just how much it felt like plot to plot to plot to plot. Like we got to get to all these plot points. I could almost see it. I could see how it's like plotted out. And it was it felt like bloated in that regard, with just a lot of these plot moments. And anyway, okay, let me just read some of this. So this is Brooke Obie, and she is writing about her issues that she had with the way that Paul Thomas Anderson depicted Black women in the film. Okay. I was already annoyed after sitting through one battle after another for nearly 3 hours. I'm not in the tight 90 brigade. I don't mind a long movie that flows. Yeah. Like I am not what's his name? Annoying ass dude who's like, make movies shorter. That's not me at all. I will sit down and watch a 3-hour film. I'll sit down and watch a 4-hour film. I have no problem with that. But it has to be deserving of that length. If it's a 3-hour movie, if it's a 4-hour movie, it's gotta be deserving of being that long. What about a 5-hour film? Well, probably have to go to the bathroom at some point. Like I didn't get up one time during one battle after another. I can sit my ass down. I can sit down for a long ass movie. I'm not in the tight 90 brigade, but Paul Thomas Anderson's empty foray into white leftist revolutionary ideology and iconography hypersexualized Black women left much to be desired in both ideology and revolution and simply refused to end. But then Assata Shakur died as I mulled over my review of the film, and the insidiousness of using a Black woman revolutionary as a plot device for white male heroics in the film became even more glaring. I will say one thing I disagree with here is I did not view Pat as a hero. And I think PTA was very clear in not making him the savior at the end of the day. However, the interiority of his character, also Lockjaw, were much stronger than some of these other characters I've mentioned who I would have liked to have more of a focus on. And I do think, and I'm not sure. Sometimes, okay. And here's the thing about films. Sometimes you're reading what the director's intention was, and then sometimes you're getting a read. It's not what the director intended, but it's what came off in the film. So that's what makes this also a subjective experience, is like, and also how it's a film is not just what the director had to say, it's what you take away from it. And it's like also, it's also important context outside of the film that can inform how it comes across. I think the movie almost criticized white selfishness in revolutionary spaces. Everyone does everything for Pat and are worse off for it. I felt that Regina Hall's character was so tragic. And there was, okay, can I just say another thing too? Okay, one thing that really fucking bothered me. This just really bothered me. It really bothered me, the like in your face revolutionary antics with no masks. And here's the thing. This was in the 2020s. Like, this is a modern film. This is a modern film. Ain't no way. I don't care if you are like as anarchist as the day come, or you're just going to a protest, like masking up, hiding your identity is like the number one thing. And I just felt like that didn't work. And it didn't work with, what he's trying to have his characters be like, I'm claiming my power. No way. In this surveillance state, he was not shy about the fact that, we live in a police state, we live in a fascist state, we live in a surveillance state. So not having the characters be at all cognizant of that, and also served, like, try and protect themselves. That was just something that it bothered me. It bothered me. I imagine selling to your actors, they have to be masked. No, but like, okay, Leo was masked. Leo was masked. Anyway, I just, okay, I know I've made a lot of points, so let me just keep reading this. One battle after another centers on Pat, the aforementioned white leftist revolutionary, aptly played by the real-life poster boy for performative activism and greenwashing, Leo DiCaprio. Now washed up, heavily stoned, and in hiding, Pat has been living as Bob, a single dad of a biracial teenager named Willa that he must protect from an evil army colonel who's out to kill them both. I just want to make sure that I'm trying to avoid like major spoilers. Okay, let me just kind of skip down and see if there's parts I can read here. Okay, Pat was a skilled bomb maker in a revolutionary group called the French 75, a group that closely resembles the real-life white Marxist American guerrilla group of the 60s and 70s, the Weather Underground, an offshoot of Students for Democratic Society. Like the Weathermen, the French 75 bombs the outposts of their political enemies. Unlike the Weathermen, the French 75 is led up and made up by black women. But despite a powerhouse cast of Teyana Taylor, Regina Hall, and Chase Infinity, black women are little more than props and plot devices, and Infinity is MacGuffin with a gun in this story of a white male revolutionary. So one interesting thing to note is that this film was not, I wouldn't say fully adapted. It was somewhat adapted, inspired by Thomas Pynchon's Vineland. And I think it's important to note that Perfidia and her daughter, those characters in the book, so this is a book from 1990, and it is a postmodern fictional novel by Thomas Pynchon, and it deals with people during the era of Ronald Reagan's election. Those characters are white in the book, and so this is a rare instance of a filmmaker like changing the race of characters from white to black. A lot of times what happens is characters of color in novels that are adapted into films like get changed to white. So I wonder too, the issues with having changed those characters to black from the novel, and how that changes then, it changes the dynamic to have a white woman Perfidia versus a black woman Perfidia. But anyway, okay. All right, let me read some more of this. Taylor appears too briefly in the role of Perfidia Beverly Hills, Willa's mother and the leader of the French 75. Rounding out her crew is Deandra Laredo and the rapper Jungle Pussy, whose character goes by the same name. Everything about her character is more offensive if you don't already know that. The film opens with the French 75 liberating migrants from a U.S. concentration camp at the Mexico border. As her battalion handcuffs the Border Patrol agents and hustles migrants into an awaiting getaway truck, presumably to freedom, Perfidia keeps the commander of the camp, Lockjaw, the creepiest that Sean Penn has ever been, and that's saying something. I agree. Disarmed and engaged by demanding at gunpoint that he get and keep an erection. This starts the psychosexual fetishizing of black women that drives the plot forward. But Anderson isn't commenting on the white male fetishization of black women. He's directly participating in it. His camera leers at Taylor's body just as Lockjaw does, because the audience only sees her through the lens of the white men who fetishize her. Celebrating their successful liberation of the camp, Perfidia makes out with Pat in the backseat of the getaway car. She breaks away from the kiss only to ask Jungle Pussy and Deandra, do you think he likes black girls? They laugh as he yells, of course I like black girls. That is why I'm here. One can assume his attraction to black girls is what earns him the moniker Ghetto Pat. Yeah, okay. So on the one hand, and I've seen this take a couple times, I don't think that Perfidia was actually sexually attracted to Lockjaw. I think that it was pretty clear she was attempting to feel like she had power over him, and this again is a testament to Tayana's just her work, but in her realizing that she didn't have that power and that the sex was coerced. I didn't read it as a consensual thing. And I also read the power dynamics in that. But as I said, my issue though is that we just don't get enough of Perfidia. We don't get to dive into what seemed to be postpartum depression, what seemed to be this struggle with like what she thinks she's supposed to be with what she is. We didn't get enough. I really wanted to see like why. Okay. So if I compare her to Asada, if I compare her character to Asada Shakur, which the actress herself made those comparisons, I don't think it's a comparison. But one noteworthy thing is when it comes to children, Asada Shakur, when she was in prison, became pregnant and had a child in prison, despite the state's attempts to torture her into a miscarriage. They really did everything they could to ensure that Asada Shakur could not have a child, and yet she still did. She had a child in prison. And then when she escaped prison, when she broke out, she had to leave her child behind. And that was a decision that she did not make because she felt like the revolution was more important than her child, but because she understood she could not bring her child with her, and that the revolution to her was ensuring that her child had a better future. She had a view as her view on like children and her on motherhood was one of great love, in that she believed in children being the future, and that the fight for that, the fight for a better future is what children deserve. And so it also furthered her resistance and her devotion to the fight. And so it just, I think people misread to Perfidia in her voiceover saying like, oh, why do I feel my husband loves me more than my baby? Or why do I feel my husband loves my baby, or that he loves my baby more than me? And people read that as like, where is this coming from? Like, she's just super selfish. And I think she was selfish. And I think that, as I said, I wish we had just explored that more, and like how that compared, the pressure of being from this lineage of revolutionaries. But also I think she was suffering from postpartum. I think there were a couple clues there. It just, we didn't get enough of her. That's how I feel. We didn't get enough of her. And so, this decision, like, why did she decide to have a child? Was there, what was, we should have seen her going through that, rather than like the remainder that we get of her is via voiceover. Okay, celebrating their, God, I really am spending I was like, I knew when I started talking about this movie it was going to be, okay, I'm giving myself 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to start cooking. Chili Pupper, thank you for the Prime. Salty Dog, thank you for the 14 months. Okay. Oh, and then another thing that I really thought we were building to was the nuns in the church. You know, I thought that was going to be, I thought there were clues that, you know, some foreshadowing when Lockjaw asked the guy on the side of the road, he's like, do they have guns up there? Anyway, that I felt like Regina Hall she just didn't get a big enough arc. She was underused. She was underused. And I was so disappointed in how that whole aspect ended up really not being anything. No, I'm not. I understand like implications that were made in the film. I think that still doesn't take away from it being like errors in screenwriting, errors in the script and in the direction of the film. Like the most insufferable swirl couples, you know, the French 75 insists that interracial relationships with white people are the revolution. Ray, I don't know if that's, I think the French 75 insists that interracial relationships with white people are the revolution. I don't actually think that's what, and it's funny, Paul Thomas Anderson is married to Maya Rudolph, who's black, and he has mixed race children. I thought there were definitely some weird moments with the characters, and that overall just speaks to my issues with how the revolutionary aspect of the film was portrayed. But again, I don't think that Paul Thomas Anderson was interested in like moralizing it at all. And I think that was just like background for the main story. There was one other mixed couple. Well, there was like here it is when he says, yeah, Laredo calls her his white girl. He was like, yeah, I'm with a white girl. I don't know. It was also funny to see Alana Haim. Alana Haim in that group. I got a chuckle out of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of trying to figure out, Alana threw me off. I'm still kind of trying to figure out the whole Pat being called Ghetto Pat, him laughing, being like, of course I like black girls, this is why I'm here. Where, like I said, I don't know if Paul Thomas Anderson was really making any great, I don't know if he was condoning or making any great condemnation. I don't think that's what, like, I don't think he had a strong purpose in that, which it's not necessarily like fine, but anyway, okay. But this is what I mean by like, look, you don't want to just ignore or hand wave away any criticism that really gets into the interpersonal here. It might not be something that you considered and maybe you still don't agree with it, but I think it's important to hear it out still. I think it's important to be like, okay, here's a black film journalist talking about her issues with the way black women were written by a white man and how, you know, just the problems of like the actual historical and social context to like black women being hypersexualized, of interracial relationships, all that. In another scene, a jealous Lockjaw confronts an unaware Pat at the grocery store, decrying how much more Lockjaw loves black women than Pat does. It's played for laughs, but what is the joke, Paul? I did not consent to this race play. Perfidia seems to feel the same about whiteness, naming herself after a city famous for all the promise that white Americanness can hold, fame, wealth, power. But mutually lusting across racial lines doesn't make Perfidia and her fetishizers equal. There's a huge power imbalance along racial and gender lines that Perfidia seems to ignore because Anderson ignores it in the writing of the script, let alone the character. I actually don't think it was ignored, but I think my problem is that it was just too, we didn't go deep enough. We didn't get in deeper to this. Let's fuck while the bomb goes off, she demands of Pat, who has just set a timer to detonate a radio tower in 2 minutes. Plenty of time for them to get in and get out. Also, this is not the first person. This is not the only person who's had issues with the way that the Black female characters in the script were written. This is not like it's still a minority of people who ultimately didn't care for this film. Overall, I've seen tons of critical acclaim. I've seen tons of like the public loving this movie, but I have seen at least basically more than one Black viewer who had some issues with the movie. Like, okay, all right, time's up. Okay, this wait, let me skip to the end. Okay, Chase in Infinity is a wonder in her debut role, and Teyana Taylor does what she can to give heart and purpose where there's none on the page. Regina Hall always deserves more, and outside of Honk for Jesus Save Your Soul, she has yet to receive it. I agree. The revolutionaries in the background, led by Benicio del Toro's karate sensei Sergio, are endlessly fascinating, but we don't get to know them or any of the migrants used as props. We don't get to see the process of how seamlessly Sergio runs his underground railroad in a sanctuary city, because beyond how it intersects with Pat and his mission. Because Anderson's not interested in revolution. He's not interested in vulnerable immigrants. Despite the many jokes about lusting for them, he's not interested in Black women. He's only interested in the interiority of white men. Whoever complained about the lack of people of color in his movies that sparked this story should have left him alone to write what he knows. I mean, as a Mexican, I was cackling. I don't agree with referring to all of these, most of these non-white characters as props. I get that this writer feels that these were characters who their characters were still in service of the main, of like the white men in the film. I think that's what this writer is trying to say. I thought the best part of the movie, as I said, was Benicio del Toro and Leo and the community that Benicio played this leadership role in, of just that whole sequence in the film. I thought was really strong. And like I said, ultimately, I think PTA is going to be limited in his perspective. He's a white dude. It's like Marty Scorsese. Same thing, Marty Scorsese writes troubled white men really well. He gets deep into that interiority in the same way that I think with Paul Thomas Anderson, even when he has the, when he explores things like race and gender, it still is always going to be in the background. I think people coming away from this movie thinking it's leftist is super dangerous. I don't think this is, I mean, I think the thing that I admire with this film is that at least Paul Thomas Anderson does not try and pretend, does not try and get like cutesy with it as to the fact that white supremacy rules in this country. Okay. That we live in a police state, that the military and, there is just the crossover between military, wealth, politicians, all in the service of maintaining this power. people assigning political positions to this movie are telling on themselves. Yeah, I don't think this is like this is not like a socialist film or anything. Anyway, look, this is still a like a mainstream film, and so the fact that it was entertaining, but it was entertaining, but also that Paul Thomas Anderson was quite bold in his display of the police state rule that we live under. And that is something that I feel filmmakers, especially ones who are given these blank checks, aren't really diving into. Okay. Anyway, I need to start making this fucking casserole. I hope that made sense. I don't know. This is one of those films that like I've been thinking over today, just one on like what I wanted to say, what I felt the film was saying. I knew people were going to be mad at me. It's like people are going to be mad if I don't come out and say this is the best film I've ever seen. It's best film of the year. Would you rewatch it? I think I would. I think I would rewatch it. I think I would. But I don't know. I just always feel that you can not think a film is a masterpiece. You can not think a film is like the greatest, but still find things to admire. That's how I usually like to approach films, especially made by people like Paul Thomas Anderson, just with with his legacy and his dedication to the craft, and I appreciate him as a filmmaker. So I will always, even if a film by someone like this doesn't hit the mark for me totally, I will still the masterpiece claim seems to have come from a very specific sector of low to mid 40s white guys who were there from hard 8 till now. I feel like I saw a lot of, in just my initial scanning of critics' reviews on the film. Okay. I think people are desperate and primed to see some kind of mainstream representation of leftist struggle or liberation. I had the same issue with Superman. Loved the movie, but people made it seem like it was a 1-to-1. And I walked away feeling that, well, Gunn would say it's not. It just wrote about a general liberation conflict. And it was just like, yeah, everyone's attributing their hopes onto movies like this. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me switch over to the kitchen. Oopsie. Come on. It was all worth it for the couple seconds of shots of cars on the hill. I'm going to be so for real. I kind of agree. that scene had me be like, okay, this, I will take this away from the film. I will take this away. Even if it's not my favorite film. It was brilliant. It was so well done. Okay. Deet, 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 deet. All right, let me pull this up. Everybody. All right. Let me get my phone. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, what am I looking for? What do I need? I need my phone so we can chat. Okay, everybody. Okay. All right. Just so you know, if anyone's wondering how Will felt about the film, I think he I think I was kinder to it. I think I was kinder. I can just tell when we're watching a movie together in a theater, I can feel in his body language when he is really not enjoying something. I gave my review on it. What did you think? Do you think I was fair in my review? Yeah. But I'm just like, hey, if any arch villains here are like, oh, surely will have the opinion on the film that Caroline didn't have. No way. Does Will like PTA in general? Yes. I mean, I think he would say There Will Be Blood is one of his top films of all time. Okay. Let's get a cookin'. Tater tot casserole. Okay, everybody. All right. I also really liked the soundtrack. I don't know if I mentioned that. I liked both the score that was composed for the film and then the tracks that were picked out, like the rest, the playlist, essentially. Excuse me, Madam Kwan, Midwesterner here. What the hell's a casserole? I only know of tater tot hot dish. What? Tater tot hot dish? The Ladies Guild of every Lutheran church would... Okay, so if you're from the Midwest, maybe you know this as well. We call a lot of things casseroles. Like, basically, it's just... It's like hearty slop, and it's referred to as a casserole. Like, there's just a lot of things that fall under the category of casserole. Pretty much anything in a casserole dish, or just, I mean, I'll be using this because I don't have a casserole dish. But, yeah, you call it a casserole. That's how it goes. Okay, let me put background music on. While I cook. Negi Hama, thank you for the 12 months. Narconis, thank you for the 3 months. Chili Pepper, thank you for the prime. Negi Hama, thank you for the 12 months. Narconis, thank you for the 3 months. Chili Pepper, thank you for the prime. Okay, is that too loud? Is that not even playing? Let me try on here. Like, always like a little background playing on this computer. Let's see. Everybody was kung fu. Can't even hear shit. Okay. Is that a good volume, or is that too loud? Okay, we're listening. It's pretty good. Okay. Okay, hands washed. Now,
there are a bunch of these blog recipes for a dish like this, so I just chose one. I chose one from Mom on Timeout. Truly the best tater tot casserole recipe. Layers of amazing flavor combined for an easy and delicious dinner any night of the week. You'll love it, your kids will love it, your hubby will love it, the whole neighborhood will love it. That's Smurf account. Thank you for the 30 months. So we are gonna start off. Preheat the oven to 375. Woo! Preheating the oven to 375. Next, lightly grease an 8 or 9 inch baking dish with cooking spray. Okay. This is pretty big. This might be a little bit too big. How much does this make? Let me see. Wait, where's my beef? Where's my... Honestly, I think I should just use this. This is an 8 inch. This is a lot smaller, but do you have a glass pan? No, I don't. Or I can make it in my 4 different cake pans. Love tater tot casseroles, but that shit is heavy. That shit is heavy. Okay, I think we're just probably... This says this is an 8 inch. So, I think we're just gonna use this, because I think that one's too big. If we're doing a Midwest dinner, will we be doing a Midwest movie? Does it count if I watched this movie growing up in the Midwest and it's from the 90s? Sure. Okay. No brownie pan? Nope. This is what we got. Okay, so I'm gonna lightly grease that. We need to dice an onion. Dice an onion. Okay. What part of the Midwest did you grow up in? I grew up between... Will there be bugs in this? We'll see. I grew up between Chicago suburbs and Iowa. So I went to high school. I went to high school in Iowa. Who else is from the Midwest here? Let me see my Midwest peeps. Throw them up. Shout it out. Kansas City and St. Louis here. I went to college in St. Louis. So Chicago suburbs when I was young. Iowa for high school. My parents moved us to Iowa when I was starting my freshman year, which was really fucking rough, let me tell you, okay? Starting as a freshman in a town that everyone had gone to school with each other. Also, my family was like the only one of like 3 non-white families, half white in the area. So just a lot of factors that made my, the beginning of me going to school in the Quad Cities pretty fucking rough. I'm gonna keep the buck. Then I went to college in St. Louis, and then my family had moved back to the burbs of Chicago when I was in college. We got a lot of Midwesterners. Did you go to SLU? I did. I did go to SLU. And I fucking hated it at first. It's like, what am I doing here? Ah! Does Utah count? Nope. Did you struggle to make new friends? There were these popular girls when I first started school who decided that I was to be bullied. And their reasoning was that I was from the big city and I thought I was better than everyone. I'm like, I'm from the suburbs. Like, I did not say I was from Chicago. I said I was from the burbs, but still it was like the big city. Oh, she thinks she's better than us. And then that turned into an attitude of me being like, fine, I am better than you. Fine, that's right. Like later when I was just, like I ran for class president, all that. Where I was like, oh, you think I'm better than you? Great, then I'm gonna prove it. Okay. I was doing theater. I have a lot bigger dreams than this town can hold. Yeah, I was friends. All of my friends were people who were like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this town. So we all did. I mean, we were all doing theater, so that was kind of the vibe. But even my friends who weren't huge theater kids, it was still my group. My group in high school was the group that was like, we're getting out of this town. This town isn't gonna hold us. And I always felt like I'm not even from here, so I don't have anything that's gonna hold me to this town. And then that's what happened. Like, my friends from high school are all the ones who left. Went to Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, international. Just a small town girl living in. Did you tell any of them that you discovered your town wasn't recycling? Well, we tried. Remember my friend Daniel and we did a whole sting operation, and then we tried to bring it to the newspaper, the student newspaper, and they didn't give a shit. Nobody cared. Wait, was it Podunk Moline? You were basically Iowa? No, so I was in the Quad Cities. I was in Bettendorf. But I went to school, not at Bettendorf. Bettendorf was like the big rival. But I didn't care. Like, rival for what? I didn't go to. The only football game I went to was when my friend was, wait, I struggled to come up with this word last time. Drum master? Not drum master. Band people, you know what I'm talking about. Drum. It was like the title of, it was 3 seniors who got drum major. Yes, drum major. Drum master. My friend Daniel, who I was prom with, and who also did the whole recycling sting operation. He was selected as drum major, so I finally went to football games as a senior to go support him. Do you have family in Iowa? No, I never had family in Iowa. My family's all in California or in the Chicago area. Because my dad is from California. And my mom is from Chicago. So that was a tough thing too, is like we didn't have any roots in Iowa. We didn't have any family. The hit 2002 film Drumline starring Father 14 Nick Cannon. That's right. Was band cool or band was... I think band was cool. I don't know. I mean, I also thought theater was cool too, though. All my friends talked about getting out, then I told them that when I was moving, they reacted in shock. They're still living there 8 years later from Kansas. I think my friend also was part of the cycling sting and band, if I remember correctly. I do, look, here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. If you have the opportunity, or if you can make the opportunity to not live in the same place your entire life, I think it's good for growth. And maybe you return, you know? I don't know, maybe I'll end up in Chicago again, which is a major city, so that's not the same thing. But like, if I were to move back to be closer to my family, at least I spent all this time away and really came into my own as an individual. And I don't know, I've just had a lot of experiences and met a lot of people and been surrounded by diversity. Jen Kwan is in chat. Hi. Hi, Jen Kwan. Jen, I hope you don't mind, but I have alluded before to the story of when you were chased in a cornfield by a guy wielding a shotgun. Wow. Yep, I moved to the middle of nowhere for like 3 years and decided I miss Toronto. I feel that. Yeah, I just think getting out from where you've always grown up, you know, just to go have new experiences. No care, say hi to Tarek? No care, say hi to... Wait, who's... Tarek? Like, streamer Tarek? Wait, who's... Motherfucking Tarek? That Tarek? Tarek is my friend who's #1 birder. Oh. I thought you were talking about... I thought you were talking about Tarek the streamer. I was like, how do you know Tarek the streamer? Okay. Brown the ground beef in a large skillet over medium-high heat. Drain excess fat. Righty. Tarek. Yeah, it was like the Valo streamer. Jen, when are you gonna come visit me? Come visit me and we can, we're gonna have good times here. I promise fun. Lots of fun. Okay, we are browning the meat. Jen Kwan in the big city. Any movie hints yet? Well, I already gave you one hint. It is a movie from the 90s. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit. Hold on. Do I want to put the onions in? Lost spam, thank you for the gifted. No, brown the ground beef and then add the onions to the skillet and saute. Okay, so we do the beef first. And then, is it horror? Yes. Yes. I would put it in the category of like sci-fi action horror. Mom invited him to watch the orchestra at Grant Park, and I was running late, and Liz, Chuck, and Cece were already there. When Tarek sat down, he asked Cece, so how do you know the Kwans? Oh! Your friend Tarek asked Cece how she knows the Kwans, and she's like, well, it's a long story. Well, goes back about 25 years. Okay, some of you already guessed the movie based on just the few hints that I gave. Okay, if you are a pitter which if you're in this community, that's kind of a requirement. If you are a pitter, Dr. Abbott is in this film. A young Dr. Abbott. To pit. A what now? See, you got to get on board. If you don't know what a pitter is, if you're not a pit head, you're not a pit head, you're missing out on an important requirement being in this community. Okay, also starring a young Frodo Baggins. A young Frodo Baggins, who was only 17, I think, when he did this film. And this was before Frodo Baggins was Frodo Baggins. Yes, yes. Anyone know what time the movie is? Well, we got a little bit behind because I spent a minute talking about one battle after another. So hopefully in like, I want to say 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock start time. Okay, also a very gorgeous Josh Hartnett who sells drugs. I didn't even do drugs in high school. I think I probably would have bought drugs if the high school drug dealer was Josh Hartnett. I would have been like, you know what? I'm not even going to do these, but I will buy them from you. There's a co-op horror game that's just The Faculty? Really? Oh, okay. Anyway, yes, the film is The Faculty. We are watching The Faculty. It is a film about a group of high schoolers who have to battle aliens. And it's got Josh Hartnett, it's got Elijah Wood, it's got Clea Duvall. A wild Jon Stewart makes an appearance. Yes, a wild Jon Stewart makes an appearance in the film. Usher is in it, but it's funny because Usher, okay, it's very similar to like Drew Barrymore in Scream, which Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream 2 years before he wrote The Faculty. So the guy who did Scream also did Faculty. Usher was a big part of the marketing, the promo for the film. He's only in it for like 5 minutes, but it's very similar to like how Drew Barrymore was the main focus of the marketing for Scream, because Drew Barrymore was, you know, it's Drew Barrymore, and also it's kind of a trick there that they did. Don't forget, Jordana Brewster. Yes. Jordana Brewster, who I think was 18 when she did the film. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna put in the onion and saute. Oh wait, we want to drain the fat in this. Selma Hayek. Oh yeah, does Selma Hayek play? Famke Janssen and Selma Hayek, I think, play their professors. This is always hard because I don't want to spill the meat. Ah! Okay. Oh, she's a nurse. Yeah, so it's got a really big cast, and it's a really fun cast. But yeah, this is a film that instantly became a cult classic. It was not as big as Scream, both box office and just the kind of pop culture influence that Scream had, but it is definitely a cult classic. It's one of my favorites from the 90s. It's a good one. So if you haven't seen it, I highly implore you to stick around for film night. I got in trouble for watching it too young. Okay, that's kind of crazy. How old were you? How young is too young? Maybe 10? Okay, that's crazy because there is some nudie. There's no spoilers, by the way. Don't say anything about the film. No spoilers. But there is some nudie that I am gonna have to make sure is not on screen. Okay, that. Then what is next? All right, after that, we add the garlic and cook for an additional minute. Store in the Worcestershire sauce. How much Worcester? We want 1 tablespoon. No, there's not full hog. No. When I was in a cult, we watched it. Excuse me? What? What do you mean by that? JK? I mean, honestly, that sounds like a cool cult. I would join that cult. Yeah, hey, speak on that. Hey, speak on that a little bit more. Who isn't in a cult these days? You know, so true. If you're not in a cult, get in one. Hey, welcome to LA. We're all in cults, and if you're not, you're a fucking loser. All right, I'm gonna add in the garlic. Hey, it's LA. If you don't have an eating disorder, get one, bitch. I want to watch The Craft. Ugh, The Craft. Another classic. So it is October, which means that I am not only going to be playing lots of spooky games, lots of horror games, but also film-wise, we'll be trying to focus on genre. Thoughts on Silent Hill F so far? I really like it. As I said Friday when I was playing it, I do wish that there were some more puzzles. I felt like the last Silent Hill game had more puzzles. And as much as they drive me crazy, I also love the puzzles. But yeah, I mean, I'm really liking it so far. It's pretty gnarly. It's definitely had some good scares. Hell yeah, horror film girlies, time has come. If you're not a horror film girly, become one. You're gonna play Until Dawn again? Well, no, because I already played that, and there's lots of games for me to still play. All right, I'm adding in 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. Just put a little bit more into that. I finished Silent Hill F. I really want to hear your thoughts when you get to it. Okay, well, I don't know how much I have left in the game, but I'm gonna try to play more tonight. All right, now I'm adding in some salt and pepper. They say salt and pepper to taste. So just whatever, you know? Okay, now throw in some salt. Cool. Great. Excellent. Excellent. Be excellent to each other. After that, transfer ground beef to the prepared baking dish and spread evenly. Top with... Okay, wait. Maybe this isn't going to be enough. I need something that's like in between those sizes. Wait, I do have this. I'd say you have 4 hours left in the game. I do have this. Maybe this works better. Is that smaller? I think we should use this one. That's perfect. All right, let me rinse this off. We're making tighter tot casserole. All right. That is ready. So let's do spread. Oh yeah, this is total comfort. This is the type of dish. This is the type of dish that is just pure comfort. It's not that healthy. Shocker. A Midwest casserole. A Midwest tater tot casserole is not that healthy. It's not that healthy, and it's also really easy to make. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this in here. See, this is not that much though. I guess I can just do, it's gonna be kind of thin. Maybe I just kind of do it like this. I just don't even use... We'll just kind of make a square. It's fine, because I think it'll be fine. It's not really a dish that, like, is dependent on the shape of the cookware. You know? Okay, next up, top with cream of mushroom soup. Hell yes. Followed by green beans, followed by the cheddar cheese. It will fill up as you... Okay. Just use the smaller one. Hush. Hush. Now we're doing it this way. This is how it goes in Caroline's kitchen. Okay. Cream of mushroom soup. Just gonna throw that. Oh, it really just plopped out. Yum. Mmm. I love my cream of mushroom slap. Slappity slap. Slap, slap, slap. Wow, little ASMR. Wow. Mmm. Oh shit. Okay. I thought it was gonna be more soup, but I guess not. All right, whatever. That's fine. This looks fucking awful, but it will taste good. It will be yummy. And now we put the green beans on top. I need my can opener. Where's my can opener? Here's my can opener. It's not one of those soups you need to add water to. No, because I think... No. No, we good. Okay, and then we want to drain. Yeah, the green beans are healthy. There we go. Okay. Now we got classic canned green beans. This is Midwestern as fuck. Canned green beans. You just throw these on top. Wow. Wow. You guys ever seen cooking like this before? I don't think so. This is what we call cuisine. Look at that. We got canned green beans on top of canned cream of mushroom slop on top of some meat. Yum, yum. Okay, make sure you season. Okay, the funniest comment I saw, I can't remember if it was on this one or another recipe I looked at. Someone in the comment wrote in all caps, "I forgot to season." And I was like, that's definitely a white person. Somebody was so panicked. Like, wait a minute! I didn't season my slop! All right. Okay. Almost done. Wow. Never made anything like this. Yeah, don't forget to season your slop, y'all. Okay, now we're gonna put some cheddar cheese on. Some sliced cheddar cheese. You're really going through it, huh? Oh, yummy. This is gonna be good. I love cheese, so I'm gonna make sure. Just fucking forgot to season my slop. Kill me! Mom, I forgot to season my slop. My tummy hurts like... Okay, I will say, I think if you eat something like this, you should be prepared to spend a little bit of time in the bathroom afterwards. So maybe don't eat this and have a big night out. You know? If you're like going to the club. Really, if you have anything to do, I would not plan on doing anything. Shitting your pants at a party. It's not fun. All right? Don't want to do that. Now, we're going to put the tater tots. This is the laziest meal I've made. We're just going to line these up. We're going to put them on top, okay? They're frozen, but delicious. Oh, only the freshest of ingredients. Mmm. The key is to eat like this all the time so you get used. You know what? I think that's right. Okay, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. Let's speed up the tot lay. The tot lay down. Yum. You know what though? This is the type of food that you take a bite of it and you go, that tastes like home. Just dump the bag? No. This is all about care. See? You want to put each tot on with love. Mama's cooking is made with love. So every single bite of this tater tot casserole, you should feel the love. What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas. I think the whole world's addicted to the drama. Only attracted to things that'll bring a trauma. Overseas, yeah, we trying to stop terrorism. But we still got terrorists here living. In the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods, and the Crips, and the KKK. But if you only have love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate. And to discriminate only generates hate. And when you hate, then you're bound to get irate. Yeah. All right. Okay. Wow. That's exactly how anger works and operates. Man, you gotta have love that should set us straight. Take control of your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all. People killing, people dying. Okay. The tater tots are on. Some of them I just put on the side. Couple extra tots. Couple extra tots on the side here. I'm gonna put some cheese. Some more cheese over the top of it. People killing, people dying. See? I want this to be just some cheesy goodness. Some cheesy goodness. All right. Wow. Will is in for a treat. He doesn't even know. Okay. I used more than the cheese. More cheese than was called for in the recipe, but that's okay. All right, here it is. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Let's fucking shit! Let's fucking shit, y'all! Are you with me? Who's with me? Now we bake for 35 to 40 minutes. Oh! Wait, that's kind of a long time. Okay, 35 to 40 minutes. Let me put where's my phone? Oh, it's right here. Especially if you're lactose intolerant, which I definitely am, but I'm in denial. I am a lactose intolerant who's in denial, who refuses to believe that I am. Why would potato and green beans make you shit? Well, it's because it's got the cream of mushroom soup and a lot of cheese, and it's, you know, it's the type of food that, look, this is why people from the Midwest are really strong. People, people from the Midwest have a certain colon strength because you have to. This is how you survive. Trial by fire. Oh, we used to eat this stuff up. It's a recipe that's made to be quick and easy. You could do everything with fresh ingredients, but it would take away more time. But hey, it'd be fancy. And look, time is everything. Okay? As they say, as they said in one battle after another, time doesn't, wait, what was it? Time doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist, but I don't know, whatever it was some bullshit. It was very funny. This is one of the most American things I've ever seen. Oh, hell yeah. That's right, baby. And look, very little cleanup. Us Midwesterners survive winter on soups and chili. Oh, I will be making soups. I will be running back the soups this October. Fucking love me some soup. This is like Cutie's frog salad. No, this is, no. Don't even say that. This is superior to the frog salad and the other Mormon dishes that I cooked up with Cutie. Because at least it tastes good. That shit looked bad, it was bad for you, and it tasted bad. Is it normal in the Midwest to use some kind of noodle in your casserole? I'm East Coast, grew up with penny pasta. I think it just depends on... Look, anything can be a casserole. Anything can be a casserole. That's how it goes. Have you made zuppa toscana yet? I did. I did. Isn't this great though? Look at how little cleanup there is. Right? Like these fancier recipes I make. Woo! The cleanup. But this is what happens when almost everything is canned. When half the ingredients are in cans and you just slop it on top. Midwest and Southern people at least make food that tastes good. Yeah, like if it's gonna look bad, if it's gonna look like slop, and it's gonna be bad for you, make it taste good. Make it be yummy. When will movies start? My snacks are getting cold. Well, I have half an hour. I have half an hour on this. We could start the movie, but then I'll have to... We could start the movie, but then I have to stop it to come here and take the food out. Let's go back to the desktop and chat. Let's return. Baby.
Okay. So we have 30 minutes. Bloss Bam, thank you. Dat Smurf Count, thank you. Negiham, thank you. We have 30 minutes. So we can fuck around for 30 minutes. We can't short film. We can start the film, but Jazz Sunday. How about a little Jazz Sunday? What makes a casserole not American? Honestly, it's just in a casserole. It's like slop in a casserole dish. We can watch we can watch some of the horror video games video. We won't finish it though. This is the longest. They're calling it the longest react ever. The longest react ever. Can you guess what these 5 colors are? Okay, we'll watch the horror video. We'll watch some of it. We can get to that next year. What is your guess? Horchata? Who gives a fuck about Oxford comma? Wait, no, that's a different song. I don't know, man. Oh. Spring gray? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. Okay. Lilac lust. Lilac's kind of purpley. There we go. Oh, shit. No. Okay. All right. You guys, I do know what horchata is. Yes, I now remember horchata. It's milk-based drink. Meadow Trail. Okay, I think I'm gonna go green. Shit, what? That doesn't even make any sense. It's not even close. How did I get an 81 on that? Frozen Buble. Okay, I don't know, like this. Whoa! Wait, that's actually crazy. Oh my God. Holy shit. I just got a 98. Wait. She's a genius. She's kind of crazy at 363 out of 500. Okay, I fucked up on horchata, but I nailed it. I nailed it at the end. Clutched it at the end. Screenshot it and send. You weren't even trying. I also did that in 2 seconds. If I had tried, I could have done better. Okay, let me pull up our history of video horror games. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. As a certified member of The Pit, what do you think of this comparison? The Pit characters as Taylor Swift albums. I mean, they only did one. I thought this was gonna be like a whole thread. Bonus Mom, Life of a Showgirl. Oh, the discourse. Oh, the discourse with a capital D. You know what? I think that's accurate. I think that's spot on. Okay. All right, let me get my phone so I can check to see when we're done. Did you see there's a girl online, a small artist, saying that Taylor basically copied the whole melody of her song? Ooh. Well, surely Taylor would respect if she were to sue. Surely. If she were to sue for copyright. Okay, yeah. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I know. I saw the AI thing. We might talk about that tomorrow when I go live. When I do more chit chat stuff. Oat Latte, thank you for the 35 months. This is a video that does not want to end. Okay, we have 24 minutes. So we will continue watching the entire history of horror games video while we wait. Hi, Farley. Come here. Part 4, Indie Horror, 2008.
If horror's greatest problem is familiarity, indie games provide a solution. But pinpointing exactly where indie horror begins isn't
Sam's
easy.
bread and butter.
For many years, there was little delineation between mainstream gaming and indie gaming, with PC games often being independent by default. This means many of the earlier games in this video could technically meet a definition of being indie. Still, for the most part, indie game has come to be used as a label to differentiate smaller, lower budget games in a modern era dominated by high budget ones. The first horror games to meet this criteria were made in RPG Maker, a game development tool that dates back to the early 90s. Like Corpse Party, a horror adventure game originally released in 1996 for the PC 98, made by 22-year-old college student Makoto Kedwin. 10 years later, Corpse Party received a remake for mobile phones, which later got enhanced and released on PC in 2008, before an English PSP version in 2011 finally brought it international attention. And then additional remakes, re-releases, and sequels expanded its reach even further.
No, I've never even heard of that.
Party featured a group of students staying behind after class who get transported to a nightmare version of the school, haunted by the ghost of a child murdered there. Its gameplay was reminiscent of older JRPGs, with 2D sprites, a top-down perspective, and even JRPG-style battles, although these were removed in future versions. This is accompanied by exploration, puzzle-solving, and visual novel-style dialogue. Corpse Party's initial popularity was likely helped by its subversion of JRPG conventions, as instead of the carefree, uplifting adventure of other games in the genre, it was graphically violent and deliberately disturbing, with its cute anime visuals hiding an unexpected brutality. Meanwhile, Corpse Party's later popularity owed much to its story and lore, which needed to be pieced together by players and generated much discussion online. Basically, it was a game for the social media age of fan theories and lore videos, even if it actually predated this era by several years. This also helps explain the popularity of other early RPG Maker hits, like Yume Nikki, the surreal freeware walking sim that first released in 2004.
Guys, this is why I think my place is haunted, because what is this? Is he like the dog in Good Boy?
And received an English fan translation around 2008. Yume Nikki was a game about exploration, with no combat, dialogue, or game overs. Instead, the player journeys through various dreamlike worlds, many of which contain no horror elements whatsoever. And yet, Yume Nikki was undeniably disturbing, in part because its lack of enemies or objectives was so unlike other games of its era. Yume Nikki wasn't simply weird in its imagery, it broke the rules of what games were expected to be, and let players search for meaning by themselves, with most hints that could be found suggesting these dreams hid something disturbing. Yet, RPG Maker horror could also be direct. Ao Oni released in 2008 and found great popularity on Japanese internet before receiving an English fan translation soon after. The premise of the game was simple. A group of high school students explore an abandoned mansion only to be locked inside with a purple Oni who chases them, transforming them into Onis if caught. The horror was equally simple and owed much to how the Oni appears at unscripted moments to create...
I feel like people love the indie game vibe because of the nostalgia feel too, right? Like these games look like games in the 80s and 90s.
Hence, unpredictable chase sequences. All three of these games took different approaches to horror, yet shared a contrast between their minimal, often innocent visual design and darker subject matter, and use of limited graphics to invoke the player's imagination. In the West, however, indie horror would find success through very different reasons. In 2006, two inexperienced game developers named Jens Nilsson and Thomas Grip created a tech demo for an annual student game dev competition in Sweden. The judges were unimpressed with their entry, but when the demo was released for free online, other gamers had a rather different reaction. This demo was called Penumbra, and less than 1 year later, after substantial changes, it would become Frictional Games' debut title. Penumbra Overture was made by a core team of just 3 people, with 9 others providing additional help. The game followed a physicist who gets stuck in an abandoned mine in Greenland, and this setting played an important role.
Wait, really? This game launched PewDiePie, Markiplier, and Jacksepticeye's careers? Damn, they've been doing this a long time. This game is 18 years old. Amnesia. Did Amnesia come after this?
Building isolation is at the heart of Penumbra, but this wouldn't have been possible if not for how immersive the experience was. Frictional might not have been able to compete with AAA games in pure graphics, but the first-person perspective, lack of a HUD, interactive world, and realistically modeled physics system all worked to pull players into the desolate surroundings. Gameplay was reminiscent of classic adventure games, with an emphasis on puzzle solving and atmospheric exploration, and while combat was included, the player was generally ineffective and incentivized to avoid enemies to create a feeling of disempowerment. Overture was praised for its unsettling atmosphere, and would be followed by the even more effective Penumbra Black Plague 1 year later. But it was Frictional's next game that would truly change horror. It was in this period that indie games were emerging as a distinct part of gaming thanks to digital distribution platforms like Steam and Xbox Live Arcade, which meant that smaller titles didn't need to compete for physical shelf space in retail stores. This helped create an interest in shorter, more subversive, or just more artistic games from developers.
Does this even happen anymore that a game can launch someone's career? I feel like that's a bygone era.
For example, 2009's The Path was a twisted retelling of Little Red Riding Hood that explored the loss of innocence.
Okay, so what's the game? What's the game that's going to launch my career? Where people will look back and be like, Caroline Kwan, that launched her career.
Growing up, and featured no traditional gameplay, being described as an anti-game or art game by reviewers. Downfall from Harvester Games would bring back point-and-click adventure gameplay alongside a psychologically heavy narrative of a man's descent into madness. And
Magic the
Aversion would
Gathering.
provide one of the first examples of a game hiding horror elements underneath a completely different style of visuals and gameplay, as the cartoonish platformer about rescuing a princess slowly unraveled into something more disturbing. Still, the reason indie games conquered horror wasn't just because of the rise of digital distribution, as was the case for most other indie genres, but rather something else.
There it is.
In 2010, Frictional Games released Amnesia: The Dark Descent to strong reviews. Amnesia made a return to Penumbra's immersive first-person exploration, but removed combat entirely, leaving the player completely helpless if caught. Despite this, Amnesia still retained a focus on gameplay through the introduction of a sanity meter, where sanity was lost through spending time in darkness or witnessing monsters or other unsettling events, and makes you increasingly vulnerable as it gets lower. This intensified the resource management, as not having enough light sources would lead to a loss of sanity in addition to having to navigate in the dark. It also incentivized players to avoid looking at enemies as much as possible, which helped preserve the fear of the unknown, making it feel even scarier. Most of all though, the sanity meter gave the player greater agency, leading to tension and stress that heightened the horror. Just like how
There are so many moments with game elements like that where I'm like, I'll be like, wait, be the person, can't look at them either. It's very confusing because you don't know if you're looking at them as the character and you're looking at them as the person.
Resident Evil 1 makes it the player's responsibility when to use ink ribbons to save their progress. Amnesia forced players to weigh the risks between its two core systems. Do you light torches to preserve sanity but risk running out of tinderboxes later? Or should you stay in the darkness and risk your sanity? Should you use your lamp even if there's a risk you might be seen by an enemy? And just how much sanity are you willing to lose hiding in the darkness when an enemy is out there patrolling? Amnesia never let you feel safe, but unlike in so many other horror games, it also understood how to be patient. It takes several hours before the player is ever actually in danger in Amnesia, and yet the build-up to the first enemy encounters was agonizing. Monsters are glimpsed in the
Several
briefest
hours?
moments, Menacing sounds are heard waiting
That's like
for you in the
3 of my
distance,
streams
and the
gaming.
narrative of a man who has deliberately drunk an amnesia potion to escape something only hinted at leaves you without the comfort of even knowing what might be out there.
Can you imagine I play this and I game for like an hour a night after I am finished with everything else? It takes 3 streams to get to
Still,
any
amnesia
of
forces
the
you to wait,
scaries.
almost lulling you into a false sense of security, but maybe the game only wants to tease until you hear that siren for the first time. Amnesia remains a masterclass in suspense and pure terror. In a time when mainstream
So if someone is making a game, how do they get it to you? Asking for a friend. I can't promise I would play it, but probably sending it to my business email and my Twitter.
horror games had little actual horror and were empowering players with slick action
Also,
and fun
thank you for the 3
spectacle,
months.
Amnesia gave players the exact opposite. Multiple reviews praised it as the scariest game ever made, and yet its sales started slow. In fact, in a blog post 1 week after its release, Frictional Games expressed concern over their future and said that despite the better than expected reviews, sales were only in line with their more modest expectations. But, unlike with most games, Amnesia's sales didn't slow down over time, thanks largely to this, what you are doing right now.
Reactions! Watching reactions!
I'm leaving.
I am so scared.
I'm leaving. Oh!
Fuck.
Okay, how many of you are so brain broken that you can recognize the voices?
Amnesia's suspenseful horror was perfect for creating singular moments of pure panic, perfect for creating exaggerated reactions that could be forever immortalized in YouTube Let's Plays and React compilations.
So, okay, was this the first game that this was streamed and reacted to like this? Or it was just the first horror game? Or Cog Future, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Not really. Okay, YouTube. So YouTube reactions. It was just like one of the first, but one of the big games to react to that blew people's careers up. Okay.
Together, these videos would get tens of millions of views at a time when YouTube was still in its infancy, kicking off a symbiotic relationship between indie horror games and content creation that is still going strong.
Jesus Christ. He gets 2 million views on his horror reaction. That's crazy.
To this day. It's not hard to imagine what the appeal of this content might be. Reactions like this
2-hour-long video.
are entertaining, but horror videos also circumvent one of horror's downsides. A big part of the appeal of horror is that it gives you a feeling of fear with the reality of safety. They allow people to enjoy the thrills of a dangerous or scary situation without actually being in any danger. A horror-based
If only I got dramatically scared. there are a couple moments where I've like jumped and screamed. I have to say though, I feel as if I would really have to play it up. I would really have to play it up to have a YouTube video that was like this. I'd have to react
Video can
harder.
do the same with one extra layer of removal by letting you watch rather than play to provide an even safer way to
I
experience
guess that is
a
the
game
trick.
like Amnesia. Perfect for people that find
Nerves of
the
steel.
scariest game ever made to be maybe a little too scary. Just like how some people might prefer to watch a scary movie alongside a friend because otherwise they find it too scary. Regardless, Amnesia: The Dark Descent had a substantial impact on all of horror gaming. It proved horror games could be critically and commercially successful without combat, that horror didn't need the biggest budgets to be scary, and that there was still a market for scary games.
Caroline playing Silent Hill. Diva! Diva, no! Oh, we got the double divas. We got an aerial diva. This diva just flew down from the sky.
Even if action horror was dominating the mainstream, and maybe because action horror was so dominant. And with time,
Diva,
Amnesia would
no!
be just one of many internet-fueled success
Diva,
stories.
chill.
To understand the role of the internet on horror, there might be no better example than Slender: The
Hence,
8
let
Pages.
us play. I
Released
see.
in 2012 and based on a popular
We're playing
creepypasta
together.
that dates back to 2009, Slender: The 8 Pages was a simple first-person game where you collect pages in a forest at night while avoiding the eponymous Slender Man. Slender would also find much success on YouTube
PewDiePie.
and would even be important in creating the soon-to-be biggest YouTuber in the world.
This is like the first viral kind of thing I had, which was that I found this game called Slender on my
I can't believe it wasn't the slurs that blew up his career.
Army.net forum. Someone posted it. I double checked on YouTube. Has anyone else played this? Nothing. No one. And I was like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah, this is my first viral hit. I was so proud.
Yet, there was one important difference between
You have to
Slender
be important
and
before anybody cares.
Amnesia, which is that, unlike Amnesia, Slender was not a good game. With a runtime of under 30 minutes,
Timer
no
is
real
at
strategy to the gameplay other than trial and
50.
error and memorizing page locations, and no depth to the horror or narrative, it's hard to defend this game. Its strength was how it took advantage of something already popular on the internet and its ability to create jump scares.
Whoa. Whoa! What the hell is
This was enough to generate an exaggerated reaction, which was enough to create a popular YouTube video. I mean, who cares if a game is only
Real and true.
30 minutes long in an era where YouTube
10
videos themselves only
billion
lasted about
views.
10 minutes? And who cares if there was no gameplay when most people experiencing it aren't playing? This was the downside
Sorry,
of YouTube.
Farley. Sorry.
The internet allowed many great games to be discovered and reach the success they deserved. But not every success did deserve it, and many low-quality, cheaply produced titles popped up over the years to try to cash in on this craze through trying to go viral rather than trying to create a good game.
Oh my god!
This proliferation of lower quality games risked giving the higher quality ones a bad reputation through association, something which may even have happened in time with Amnesia: The Dark Descent. But there was
Farley
more to
is
indie
so
horror than
pissed.
just Let's Play fodder, and by 2012, that was starting to be obvious.
The cat lady.
For example, modding communities had been making horror games for years, and they were finally starting to get more mainstream recognition, as can be seen with Half-Life 2 mod Grey or Gold Source mod Cry of Fear. Cry of Fear was particularly successful, taking heavy influence from Silent Hill in its audio and enemy design, as well as some not-so-subtle
Not this
homages,
little diva!
and combining this with tense first-person shooting and urban exploration. Its story featured a young man waking up in the city of Stockholm to find it
This
infested
baby
with
diva.
monsters, and tackled themes of mental
Have I
illness
played Dead
and
Space?
trauma.
Yeah. I didn't finish it though.
Meanwhile, solo dev Jasper Burns' Lone Survivor
Don't mention it.
would make a return to the classic survival horror gameplay of slow exploration, resource management, and puzzle solving, alongside retro-inspired 2D visuals.
What is Cat Lady about? Is it about a cat lady? We have 4.5 minutes left for the casserole. It's hard to explain.
Byrne's inspiration was
Sasha,
a
thank you for
desire
the
to
29
revive
months.
the survival horror genre that he saw as having disappeared.
Is it sad?
And Lone Survivor
Is it sad? It's sad. Oh no, it's about depression. Oh no. Oh no. Oh
marked the
no.
start of something of a retro revival. 2012 would also bring a new wave of RPG Maker horror games in what's now seen as a golden age for the subgenre, with examples like Mad Father, The Witch's House, and
Depressed divas.
Ib? Ib? Okay, I never looked up how to pronounce that game. We're going to go for Ib. Ib.
Ib.
Which all received praise for their strong stories. In 2013, indie horror would see another mainstream success in Outlast, a game clearly influenced by Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and successful for many of the same reasons. Outlast was a creative take on the found footage genre of horror
classic.
films, except with the player cast as the one doing the
Wait,
filming.
why no
In it,
Jacksepticeye
a
without
journalist
PewDiePie?
investigates a remote psychiatric hospital, only to find it's been overtaken by its dangerous inhabitants, who they then become trapped inside with. A camcorder acted as the player's night vision, with batteries needing to be scavenged as you explore, but Outlast gameplay remained simple, with no combat and a need to run, hide, and avoid enemies instead. These stealth sections could sometimes overstay their welcome, and the player will probably find themselves captured so many times that the horror of this becomes noticeably less effective. But Outlast's real achievement was its relentless cruelty. For example, in one early sequence, the player finds themselves fleeing from a group of inmates, only to be rescued at the last second by a mysterious stranger, who then knocks you unconscious, straps you into a wheelchair, takes you to the asylum's exit, the very place you've been trying to reach, tells you you're free to leave if you want to, before wheeling you away for some surgery that I don't think
I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
I can show on YouTube. Enjoy stabbing
I'm
players
reading
with
chat.
a knife. But Outlast
I'm doing
took
that thing
glee
where
in
the sound
twisting
coming
that
in
knife
goes out
around
my
and
goes out
then
my
sticking
brain.
a finger inside the wound while asking with mock concern
Wait,
if
sticking a finger where? Okay, that just brought me back. Sticking a finger just
that's starting.
hold on. What?
The result was undeniably crude, but it was also effective, and further showed why indie horror could be successful in this era.
I
when
love
mainstream
Jacksepticeye.
horror
He's
was
a nice guy.
struggling. The extreme lengths Outlast was willing to go to was exactly the type of thing mainstream gaming wouldn't do for fear of alienating audiences. But Outlast wasn't trying to be for everyone, and its unrivaled brutality helped it to stand out and get attention in the social media age where attention was everything. And speaking of social media, 2014 would show just how important it had grown to be. Scott Cawthorne had
Oh,
made
was that
around 80
Markiplier?
games before creating the one which made him famous. The idea for the game was born out of criticism for his earlier work, which some found unintentionally terrifying. And so, in response, he decided instead to make something intentionally terrifying. Five Nights at Freddy's released in August 2014 and featured simple point-and-click gameplay about watching security cameras in a Chuck E. Cheese-inspired pizzeria during the night shift. Within the pizzeria were several wandering homicidal animatronics, which players had to avoid by locking the doors to the security office if they got close. The challenge in this came from having limited power, with watching cameras, turning on lights, and locking doors, all expending this resource. Therefore, players had to save enough power to make it through the night, but spend enough power to work out when an animatronic is nearby so they could lock the door in time.
Okay, these games I do feel are really good to watch a playthrough of, like watch somebody reacting to it, versus some games I feel like you really want to play it yourself. Oh, there's the timer. Okay. Alrighty. Back to the kitchen, y'all. Back to the kitchen with you. Ooh.
camera die? Shit. Hold on. Hold on. Woo! We back? Alright, let me take this. Let me get this out of the oven. Oh! William! Good timing. Good timing, son. Mama's casserole. Right. Mama's casserole. Oh, yum. Would you like some of Mama's casserole? Wow, everyone. Look at that. Don't touch it. Don't. Why would you do that, you insane person? You're insane. Okay. All right. Sorry, this is not a nice display.
It looks good.
Mama's casserole.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Get yourself a plate. Wow. This is our mother-son relationship. Come here.
Okay.
All right, making things kind of weird, but
Little weird casserole role play. What's Caroline into? She likes to make me Midwestern dishes and pretend she's my mother. That's what does it for her.
well, I could pretend to be Nana.
Nana?
I could be Nana. All right.
Now, do we slather ketchup all over this?
Yeah, you can put ketchup on it. Casserole roll, not the casserole role play.
I made another.
Oh, I
made you.
Oh, he made a nice casserole.
Oh, time for Dino Nuggies.
Oh, yum. Okay, you need a fork.
Yeah.
You got it.
Now I've had this many times.
Oh shit, you've had.
You've made it for me.
No, I haven't.
Caroline Kwan, you've made this for me 4 times.
No, I have not made this for you 4 times. Have I?
Yes.
When did I make this?
You make it yearly.
Well, thought I had it. I don't think I've made this on stream. I think he likes Mama's casserole. It's hot. Are you okay? What's going on?
Oh!
Yeah, it just came out of the oven.
I can't tell what the casserole is and what the top of my mouth is peeling off.
It just came out of the oven.
That is delicious. That's the best time you've ever made it.
Really?
Really good.
I don't think I've made this before, but
Caroline Kwan. Yes,
no,
you
it's
have.
no, it's not Caroline Kwan. It's Mama.
You made it at your apartment, and then you made it at our apartment. It's crispy. It's crunchy. It is a delicious
Slop.
shit in your
Is it delicious slop?
delicious.
Delicious slop.
I love it.
Yay, he loves the slop, everybody. Honestly, I think it needs the ketchup.
The ketchup adds that nice.
It
zesty
just,
high
it
note.
adds that little zest.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome. Enjoy your slop. Enjoy Mama's slop.
You don't have to keep calling it that.
Enjoy Mother's slop.
Oh, wow.
It warms the soul. Well, I guess I'll serve myself up some of Mama's slop. Yum. Stop saying Mama's slop. Okay, I'll stop saying Mama's slop. Mother's slop. Yummy. Y'all, can't really go wrong with this. You can't really go wrong. Farm fresh slop. Mmm. Throw some ketchup on there. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is living. Some pretty good slop. Yum, yum. All right. Let's go back. Back to the beginning with you.
It actually looks good. It is good. I mean, that's some slappity slap. That's some good slap, you know? Some good slap. All right. Well, we're going to put a pin in the horror games video. We'll pick up from Markiplier and Five Nights at Freddy. Because it's 8:12. And it's time. It's time for what everybody is here for. The movie rolls. It's time. All right, go get your own slop. Go get your blankies. Go get your drinks.
You can't beat my meat for a special treat. Sucking on me is really neat.
Don't be a jerk and don't be a fool. Be a good neighbor and follow these rules. What are these rules? Remember to keep your shoes on at all times. Don't pull your penis out unless you really need to. Indecent exposure is a class 2 felony.
My wife! Wow. Okie dokie. All right. Okay. My mom knows that intro almost word. Your mom knows that intro almost word for word? Wow. Don't mind me. Okay. All right, everybody. Josie, thank you for the 5 months. Oh, somebody wants some of this slop. Someone wants some of Mama's slop. Okay. For our first film night for October, we have 1998's The Faculty. Directed by Robert Rodriguez. Written by Kevin Williamson, who also did Scream 2 years earlier. And starring Jordana Brewster, Claire Duvall, Josh Hartnett, Sean Hattasey, Famke Janssen, Piper Laurie, Bebe Neuwirth, Usher, Elijah Wood, Jon Stewart, and Laura Harris. This is a film that was released by Miramax, and apparently they are doing a remake of it. I saw that recent news, that they are doing a remake of this film, which is crazy because this film is perfect. No, I need to read more about what they're planning to do with the remake. But anyway, okay. Without further ado, The Faculty, a film, when I first watched it, I was like, this film rules. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, this film rules. And the third time I watched it, I was like, this film rules. And now this is the fourth time I'm watching it, and I'm sure I'll still be like, this film rules. Okay, here we go. Jon Stewart okay? No, he's not. Yes, this was produced and distributed by Miramax. So unfortunately, Harvey Weinstein, but that is The Faculty. Oh, Jon Stewart. Freaking Usher. So, yeah, that film is just like, it's just a classic. It's just a classic 90s with one of the craziest casts. Truly, you watch that film and you go, oh my God, everyone is in this. Pre 9/11 vibes, it's true. This was a film before 9/11. Have you ever seen the show Wilfred? Yes, I have. I knew one of the fighting couples from Scary Movie. So, what I love about this film is, one, the very meta self-awareness, all of the references. It's a film very much like Scream in that way, which of course Kevin Williamson wrote both Scream and then he wrote this one. He was not the original. So the people who originally wrote the draft were Dave Wechter and Bruce Kimmel. They wrote the first draft of this, they sent it out, but there were no buyers. And it was not until Scream's success, because Scream came out 2 years before this, Scream's enormous success, that Miramax bought the script and were like, okay, we'll make this. But they brought in Kevin Williamson to do the rewrites, to basically the story, the basics of the story were kept the same, but then Kevin Williamson came in with his dialogue and new characters and just made it more like, he made it cool. And this film is great because tonally it is, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's also not, it doesn't treat it as a joke. And also it's got that Robert Rodriguez like subversive camp vibe to it. But is still cool. Like it has a great balance. Like it's sexy, it's cool, but it's campy. It's funny. It is a film that doesn't shy away from its predecessors, but I think does a good job of still doing its own thing, where at the end, you kind of have the outcasts who end up being the heroes in the story, which for a horror film starring a group of teens usually isn't the case. So you've so it's definitely got that like Breakfast Club vibe. Obviously The Thing and Body Snatchers were major inspirations for the film. And then in the film, they reference that multiple times. But yeah, it's like perfect B-movie vibes. Just fun. It's just really fun. I've completely unintentionally watched 3 Kevin Williamson movies in 3 days now. Well, worse things can happen. And then of course, the whole concept of aliens taking over, and in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it's this theme of conformity, right? Where at first you're like, oh, it doesn't seem so bad, maybe. And the aliens themselves are like, join us. It's great. You don't feel any fear. You don't feel any pain. It's wonderful. We all are the same. And on the surface, you're like, okay, well, that doesn't seem that bad. And then in the faculty, you see like, wow, everybody's like hot and cool and scary, but no one's fighting anymore. They're all raising their hands in class. It's because they're all a hive mind, right? They're all a hive mind. And so the concept alone of like alienation, right? Aliens taking over, and that touching on just the human feelings of being isolated and alienated. But then you set it in a high school where it really speaks to like the conformity in high school, and how you feel this need to conform because high school is such a hierarchy, and people get put into boxes and archetypes, and yet that individuality is what wins out at the end of the day, right? You had the group there where you had the jock, but also not the jock. See, because they even subverted the tropes within this film. So you have the jock who actually just wants to be a nerd. You have like the stoner bad boy who's actually really brilliant and then also ends up becoming the jock. You have the nerdy, Elijah Wood, the nerdy newspaper kid who saves the day at the end of the day. The nerd becomes the hero. You have the mean girl her character, Jordana Brewster's character, is very much the one doing like the meta speak on what high school tropes are, where she's like, no, this is just how it goes. Like there's always got to be one character, and that's you, Elijah Wood. And then she ends up with the nerd at the end, and it turns out she's kind of a nerd herself. They know each other because they're in the journalism club together. And then you have Clea Duvall, who's like the emo, but not really emo. She does that so people leave her alone because she's actually lonely. And then she ends up with the jock / not jock at the end, the emo. Yeah. The lesbian who's not a lesbian. And then you have the good virginal blonde Southern, sweet Christian girl who turns out to be the queen alien. turns out that she's not so sweet and innocent. But yeah, I love the commentary around like, hey, even if you're a weirdo, that's great. Be a weirdo, be an individual, because that individuality is what it's all about. Conformity, hive mind, all that stuff. You lose your sense of self because that's the point. The point is to lose your individual sense of self and become and become part of the hive. And drugs save the day. I also thought that was funny, right? The whole element of the drugs being the only thing that they can fight. The only thing that they can fight the aliens with or the parasites with. W drugs. Okay, he's fucking tweaking. Just let him tweak. I'm not an alien. I'm discontent. I know this. I mean, that's that Kevin Williamson dialogue. Did disturbing behavior get influenced by the faculty, or did they just happen to come out at the same time? That's a good question. They did come out at the same time. So I would say probably not. Disturbing Behavior is a sci-fi psychological horror film with Katie Holmes and James Marsden. No, that film I think is actually a nod to Stepford Wives, so definitely a film that was influenced by its predecessors as well. So this movie was pro-drugs, pro-seatbelt, but also pro-lesbian, anti-Southern girls, pro-Greek teachers. Sure. I saw someone point out that Mary Beth is the only character in the crew without a Breakfast Club counterpart, foreshadowing the twist. Yes, foreshadowing that, in fact, it's because she is the outsider. Was Mary Beth saying of Atlanta supposed to be an indicator she didn't know how to blend perfectly into human society? Yes, I think when you go back and watch that movie, when you obviously know the twist, you can pick up on little mannerisms, and she just tries to explain it away by like, oh, I'm just from, I'm Toto, I'm not in Kansas anymore. And she also literally references herself as an alien in the beginning. Yes, and she says her full name every time. She also locks onto Zeke from the get-go. And it's not just because Josh Hartnett is hot. It's because she recognizes him as like an adversary. So she, she's like, oh, what are we doing in here? Oh, we gonna do a little smooch. She also said she's allergic to caffeine. No, it's because he's hot. No, he is hot, but also she's Queen Alien. I think it was very good casting to have a Canadian play a Southerner, so the accent was off too. Yes, there's just things about her, but like because everyone else is so fucking weird, like there's so much weird shit happening. The film counts on you not. The film counts on it like not being obvious that something is up with Mary Beth, because there's more than one line in the film about how like everyone is, they're like, isn't everyone being so weird? Like weirder than normal. Isn't it weird how she didn't infect him when they kissed? I think because I think either she would have, maybe she just wanted to make out with Josh Hartnett. Maybe she would have, or because they needed to like fulfill the first part of the plan. But yeah, it seems like they got interrupted in that scene. When she started acting like a bigot at the end, the only thing stopping her from getting whacked was her being naked. Yeah, when she just like, when she pulls out the bigotry at the end, but it don't work. As a first time watcher, I thought she was too obvious choice, so I'm like, it can't be her. That's so funny. You're like, there's no way, because it seems so obvious. Also, this film is almost 30 years old, so if you did figure out it was Mary Beth, it's either because you've just seen too many movies or because you're like, maybe it's the one person who is not strange for just the fact that they're strange, but is strange because she really seems out of place with how strange everybody else is. I didn't expect the drug scene fake out. That fooled me. That is, of course, a reference to The Thing. So you saw a lot of references to The Thing when Famke Johnson's head is cut from her body from the car accident, and the head grows legs. Like, iconic scene from The Thing. How did Mary Beth infect Coach? Check his hard drive. Ah! Don't say 30 years old. I was only born a year and a half later. Oh, it is. It was from 1998. Can really see the Sinner's inspirations too. Yeah, that's why I always love showing films that have had an enormous influence on pop culture and on cinema. So you can see in the line like all the references, right? Because The Faculty was obviously inspired by films that came before it, but then has inspired films that have come after it. So I think it's always great to see films that not just are like cult classics, because I love a cult classic, but also films that, you know, we're talking about now because they're coming out in 2025, and then seeing the original inspirations for them. Another thing that I was going to mention is, so when this film came out, everyone thought it was going to be bigger than it ended up being. It was still a success. It still made money, but it was not nearly as big as Scream. And like Clea Duvall, Jordana Brewster, Elijah Wood, the people who starred in the film thought that it was going to be huge. And Jordana Brewster talked about how she thought this was going to make them all like instant teen stars, when that's not actually what happened. I mean, Elijah Wood became like a star when he did Lord of the Rings a couple years later, but it got so there's a couple reasons why I think the film was not as big as everyone thought it was going to be. One, Miramax released it on fucking Christmas Day. Christmas Day is when they decided to release this film. People do not go see movies like this on Christmas. They go watch Christmas movies. They go watch like feel good stuff. They might go watch a drama, but they're not going to watch a sci-fi teen high school action horror movie. They're not going to. So the release definitely, I think, had an impact on the commercial success of the film. Also, I think it being a sci-fi film rather than like a teen slasher in the way that Scream was, I think that also just kind of made it a little bit funkier and made it just people weren't flocking to see this like they were for Scream, or if this had been a slasher movie. The name of the movie is Strange. Yes. So that was something that I think Robert Rodriguez mentioned, how the title of the film turned people away. It's called The Faculty, right? Like, not really a film that kind of screams, that kind of gets your attention. And so for the intended audience of this movie, I think it being called The Faculty versus they had some other titles that they had thrown around. I think like Alienated was one of them, which ended up being either it was Alienated or the other one that I can't think of, but that title ended up being a later film that Miramax did. I wouldn't even expect that to be sci-fi horror. I'd be expecting along the lines of The Graduate. Yes. So I think the marketing also, so the title of the film, the fact that it was released on Christmas, the marketing was weird. They had, like, I remember they had the cast do like a Tommy Hilfiger ad. It was strange. It was just like really, this is just an example of how if the marketing of a film and if like just kind of the overall aesthetics of it don't match up with what the film is, then you're going to risk losing an audience that would love a movie like this. It feels like it should have been either summer film or October horror release. Yeah, I just think the release time was awful. Another way it might have inspired Sinners is in the way of how to work a big scope story with a low to mid budget, because this is Robert Rodriguez after all. Yes, this is Robert Rodriguez, who of course did From Dusk Till Dawn, Machete, El Mariachi, Sin City. I think this is actually one of my favorite films of his. The title is cute because it's a double entendre. The aliens take over humans' faculty. No, I just mean from like a marketing this film perspective. This is something that the people who involved with this film themselves said, yeah, I think the title was confusing to people. It did still make over its budget at the box office, and it was immediately a cult classic. So it didn't lose money. It still was successful. Critically, I think it did okay. Let's see. I think it was okay. I think it was a mix of... here's the thing, though. I gotta be so for real. Film critics, the type of film critics that I'm thinking of at that time, I don't think that they wouldn't love this movie the way that, like, the people would. That's why you get a film like this. That's why a film like this becomes a cult classic. That it's the people who watch it and are like, oh, this movie rules. This movie fucking rules. Here's the Tommy Hilfiger ad. Oh, let's watch this.
103 David, take 10.
Too draft, too dark. I need color.
103 David, take 3.
No, get that off. It's wrong. No ties. Cut. No gray.
Take 22.
What do you want me to do? Change? Wardrobe?
103 David, take 40.
Give me Tommy jeans. I need color in life.
Tommy jeans make a scene.
It just feels really random, I'm going to be honest. Also, Tommy Hilfiger was huge in the 90s. If you're like, what? Tommy Hilfiger? It was very 90s. Very, very 90s. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. The Tommy Hilfiger promo commercials for this movie. I miss this kind of marketing commercials so much more real in the 90s. Yeah, I mean, it is very 90s, but also it doesn't really align with the film. It's basically look at how hot our young cast is. We got everybody: Josh Hartnett, Clea Duvall, Usher. I clocked the Tommy Hilfiger polo and the Reformed Jock. Yes. I think Tommy Hilfiger was obviously a sponsor in the film. T-shirts over long jeans, dude. That was the look. That was the vibe. Roger Ebert actually liked this movie. He's so random. I don't understand him. I don't get his brain. Most of the time when he hates a film, you go, yeah, I'm not surprised Roger Ebert hated this film. And then sometimes he comes in with just the random praise. And you're like, okay. I mean, Roger Ebert hated The Thing. Famously hated The Thing, which is a major inspiration for this film. Did he like Scream? He gave it 3 stars. I mean, how do you not like Scream? Here's what he said. What did I think about this movie? As a film critic, I liked it. I liked the in-jokes and the self-aware characters. At the same time, I was aware of the incredible level of gore in this film. It is really violent. Is the violence diffused by the ironic way the film uses it and comments on it? For me, it was. For some viewers, it will not be, and they will be horrified. Which category do you fall in? Here's an easy test. When I mentioned Fangoria, did you know what I was talking about? Extreme gore. He loved Anaconda and the Mummy. Roger Ebert, it turns out, is a Stanaconda. Also, who doesn't love the movie? The Mummy is so fucking great, though. Roger Ebert was a huge J-Lo fan. He would have loved The Greatest Love Story Never Told. If Roger Ebert were still around when The Greatest Love Story Never Told came out, 4 stars, 4 out of 4 stars. Did he like Deep Blue Sea? I don't know. What else can we say on this film? I mean, I just think it's fun. I love the music. I love the score of the film. The writing, you know, with it being self-aware, but also just these really snappy lines. It's just very Kevin Williamson. I like just how many people are in this movie. From Jon Stewart to Usher to Frodo Baggins. It's got it all. It's got it all. The mix of pop and orchestral movie music. Yeah, and I think you know, the mishmash of the movie, of the setting. It's just really fun, right? You think of taking Body Snatchers and The Thing and then setting it in a high school. Reminder, Roger Ebert was friends and collaborator with Russ Meyer. He co-wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Yeah, Roger Ebert was definitely not one of those film critics who just hated horror because of the bias, just biases against horror. So I will give him that. I will give him that he was not a major film critic who just always stuck his nose up at horror movies. When he liked it, he liked it. I don't know if you watched 13 Ghosts. I have. Yeah, I watched that a while ago. What did you think of it? I think it was one of those movies that the first time I watched it, it was really scary. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, it's not that scary. But I think it still rules in its own way. Have you ever seen Fright Night from 1985? Yes. Ebert's issue on horror was mostly about moral panic with a lot of gore and extreme violence, but he loved pulp style stuff. Yes, he definitely loved to participate in like the pearl clutching. So violent. This is the game that's just The Faculty. See if you can spot who was inspired by Josh Hartnett.
So am I still waiting for this world to stop hating? Can't find a good reason, can't find hope to believe in.
Is that Josh Hartnett?
Hey, Josh, get out of our way.
But I've got to finish up my story on the basketball team for the
Yo, dog,
But I have to finish my story on the basketball team.
Chill out, man. Leave him alone. Come on, let's hit the showers.
What is this voice acting?
Do you know what time it is? You said you were coming home early.
I said that to Mom and Dad, not to you.
It's It's always the same story with you. I know why you don't want to come home. Kenny.
We finally get rid of Mom and Dad, and you think I'm gonna sleep at home?
Wait, Shannon. I'll go with you.
No, that's quite all right. You just go.
Okay, wait. So is this game, when did this game come out? And also, is the gameplay the story of faculty? Like, people are turned into parasites and they have to stop it?
Let's beat it, Kenny. Are you sticking around?
This came out in 2005. I'm going to be so for real. This feels even older than that. It's a co-op from 2005.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a few more baskets.
Okay, whatever. Catch you later.
It's $7 on Steam. With your friends, you try to unravel the mysterious happenings at this unremarkable looking school. You take control of a group of 5 American students. Is it fun, or is it just kind of like, it's cool because it's the faculty? I mean, look, I would consider pitching this to Sam.
Hello?
Kenny?
I would consider pitching this to Sam, but only if it's actually going to be fun, because she won't have the nostalgia she won't care about this because of the film. I don't think she's even seen Faculty, so she won't have that connection there. And she's more particular about games than I am. It's a fun game very early until dawn. Before Until Dawn, it's a fun game. She does like weird games. She does like weird games, but she also can be particular about games.
You're supposed to call. Did you forget about
I
our
think
date?
people just want you and Sam to play a game
No.
together rather than...
You know me better than that. I just finished practice. Just a quick shower and I'll be right there.
Good. And don't be late this time. See you, baby.
Okay, I'll be right there.
Oh my God, it's so bad. I love it.
Hey, what the? Where's my bag?
See ya, baby. It's... like he's just running across the basketball court. I almost just moved like I was in the game.
I didn't know there was a garden behind this iron door.
Do you know what I love? How video games and anime tell you exactly what's happening. Like, I can't believe that you survived and now we're here to fight again. I didn't know there was this behind the gate. Have I ever seen forums? I have never seen forums. Not every game has Silent Hill 2 level of script. Okay, all right. I will consider... It's only $7. Come on, that's a steal. Combine the weapon and the flashlight. Step 1, hold L2 down plus left analog stick to select the sticky tape. Someone give 3 subs for this game. Has anybody... This is definitely one of those games that if I were playing it on stream, I would be the only person playing this game.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
It's friggin' creepy down here.
Yeah, man. Punish cast me, I think, 12 months. Maybe this could be my breakout game. Wait, so true? We were just talking about what could be my breakout game. Eureka!
Where is this
Eureka!
light coming from?
This would be the funniest game too for me to try to react the hardest I've ever reacted to a horror game. Hold on, let me practice. Oh God! Oh! Ah! Oh, never mind.
No, have pity, no.
What the hell is this place anyway?
Hey.
Please,
Hey,
don't hurt me.
chill
Out. I'm
Don't
not gonna hurt you.
Oh my God!
Oh, you fell for it too.
Fell for what?
You don't
Get
get
away!
It? We gotta get you out of here quick.
Okay, let's bolt.
Don't abandon me, whatever you do. He's nuts.
I won't.
Oh my God. This is too much. Why does bro look like Voldemort? I don't know. I think he needs the drugs. No further questions. Oh my God, what's in the locker? A gun? This is how I'd be playing the game. So true. Oh, shit! Oh! Oh, he's dead! Oh, he's dead! Oh, thank God! Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. I don't know about that. It's too scary. It's too scary for me. I don't know if I could handle it. 10 billion views. There we go, baby. All right. Last thoughts on The Faculty. Oh shit, I forgot to ask. If this is your first time watching The Faculty, ones in chat. Ones in chat, first time watching The Faculty. Oh, hell yeah. Famke. Okay, I saw Famke Johnson one time in real life when I used to work at Sony. And I was coming out of my office to go get a coffee. And she must have had a meeting. And she was walking towards me. And I went, holy shit, that's Famke Johnson. She was so pretty. She was so pretty. She's very tall, also. Very tall, very skinny. And gorgeous. Yeah, she's very willowy. She's like a thin tree. That would happen sometimes when I worked at Sony, is that I would just like randomly see a celebrity when I was at work and I'd be like, wow, what? That's crazy. But it makes sense because actors will go and meet with executives. You know, I'm sure she was meeting with the president of Columbia or someone like that to talk about movies, you know? And I'm just sitting here like, hey, big fan. She's always been my girl crusher forever. Yeah, she's Gorgina. And also she's like, I'm 5'9". When I say she's tall, she is 5'11". And I think she had heels on, so she was over 6 feet tall. I was just like, hello, mother. Hello? Hello? Yeah, so that's The Faculty. Fucking love that movie. Love me some cult classics. Love me some 90s teen horror-esque films as well. Also just 90s teen films. We've watched a lot of the classics, from Faculty to We Watched 10 Things I Hate About You to Clueless, Jawbreaker, Heathers was the 80s. 90s was for the teens. It really was. Trying to think of what else we've seen in. No, we haven't watched Cruel Intentions. What else are we missing? No, Heathers is 80s. So is Tremors. No, Tremors is 1990. Oh, Tremors is so great too. Have you seen the movie Parents? No, I haven't. We haven't watched I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was also a film that came out. What year was that? I Know What You Did Last Summer was 1997. So this was I Know What You Did was a year after Scream and then a year before The Faculty. That movie made a fuck ton of money too. That was like a $17 million budget and it grossed $125 million. So the success of that, the success of Scream, is why they thought Faculty was going to make a bunch of money too. It did make money, but it made it was like a $15 million budget. I think it ended up grossing $40 million. Yeah. 40 million. Maybe they shouldn't have released it on Christmas Day is all I'm saying. Maybe. Have you seen Jennifer's Body? Are you kidding me? I fucking love Jennifer's Body. That was one of the first films that I did for film class. And I also did I dressed up as Jennifer. I love Jennifer's Body so much. Oh, I'm a cheerleader. I think that one was free on YouTube the other day. I almost watched that, but I'm a cheerleader. I almost picked that one, but I think we watched Serial Mom instead. That one we should watch sometime as well. Do you still do acting work or is it streaming full time? No, it's streaming full time. I honestly would be down to run Jennifer's Body back. I mean, I watch that movie probably once a year anyway, so wouldn't hate running it back. Especially because we have a lot of new people in the community now. You know, that was one of the first ones we watched. So we have community members who've joined post the initial watch of Jennifer's Body. Feel like I would be doing a disservice as LA viewers. I feel like I would be doing a disservice as a Jennifer's Body stan if I did not show Jennifer's Body to late community members. Have you seen Slumber Party Massacre? Yes, I have seen the original and I've seen the remake. I love horror. I really, really love horror movies, if you can't tell. Oh, what's that sound? Hold on. We should do all the teen movies based on Shakespeare. I know I almost picked She's the Man the other day. But I was like, I don't know. Am I going to get in trouble for this? Yeah, some of you have been here since day one. Is there who in here has made who has seen every film class we've done? Is there anyone who's made it to every single one? Flunky, okay. Immovable object. I mean, I've thrown some random ones in there, so the random ones don't count. Like watching Jane Goodall documentary, that doesn't count. That was like not really film night. But my Sunday dinner and movies, or the random, like when I did the trilogy of Twilight. I think I've missed 2. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, who else? Anon, have you made every single one? I skip a lot intentionally because I can't do violence. All right, Roger Ebert. No, that's why I throw in my like Pride and Prejudice. You know, it's not always horror, not always violent films. You sent me Titanic too. That's right. When we watched that piece of cinema. Okay, so there's a couple of you who have made every film class. Ah. Okay. Perfect attendance, students. I didn't know about you and Will until I started watching Hassan, unfortunately. Well, that's who you can get all your movie takes from. No, I would never watch Cannibal Holocaust. I would never watch it. No, I've seen it. I mean, I would never watch it on stream. Please tell me you've seen Welcome to the Dollhouse. No, I have not. I have not seen Welcome to the Dollhouse. Is that horror? No, I don't think so. What's something you would want to watch with us if you could pick anything? Oh. Any movie ever. I am not saying Shrek 2. I think I would pick I think I would pick Possession. (1981's) Possession, directed by Andrzej Zulawski. That is a crazy film. You might not know that film, but you might know what has turned into a meme. Isabella, the actress Isabella Johnny in the subway station when she's like losing her mind. It's a very iconic scene. So maybe that one, or then let me think of like modern stuff that I would watch that I wouldn't worry about getting. I think Everything Ever All at Once. I'd love to watch on stream if I could. I'm trying to think of anything else that's like there's just too much TOS or anything in it. Hereditary is a good one. I think that's one, like, if you haven't watched it. Sometimes I pick films too because I'm like, I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen this and I think they should see it. The Human Centipede 3 final sequence. Hell yes. Okay, I've actually seen... I think I've seen all the Human Centipedes. The original Battle Royale is coming to the big screens. I fucking love Battle Royale. That's really cool. What's... Oh, I would die to watch In the Mood for Love, but it's never been available. That's a film where the second that comes on YouTube, I am watching that for film class. There's more than one. Yeah. Oh, Mandy. Teeth. Oh, shit. Teeth. Oh, my God. Talk about a film that I think people would either... fuck with it heavy. People would fuck with it heavy or... Oh, also Mandy. Oh, my God. Mandy. Also Mandy. Not just Mandy Chatter Mandy. Mandy, Nicolas Cage. Film, Mandy. That would be awesome. But no, Teeth is a movie that I think people would fuck with, or they would be like... Teeth is the film where the main protagonist has a condition called vagina dentata. Vagina dentata, and there is one scene in the film that forever is burned into my memory. I remember the first time I watched that in high school, I was like, what? No, this is what I have pulled up. Did you buy the... No. I have, I'm going to play a little Silent Hill in a sec, but... Teeth is just one of those peak high school films. Oh, it's perfect. A peek into the future. Obscure. This is the scariest game I've ever played. 30 million views. 30 million views. The scariest game I've ever played. And it's a game that people are like, wait, what is that? Have you seen Ginger Snaps? Yes. Oh, dude, that's so good. That's so good. Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all I got to say. James Lee, thank you for the 14 months. So I hope you enjoyed film night. I hope you enjoyed the slop that I cooked up, even though you didn't eat it. You can imagine it was delicious. And I am going to play some Silent Hill now. Probably won't play as much as I've played the last couple days, but we'll at least end the stream with some gaming. Ooh, Dog Soldiers. That movie rules too.